All rise for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please stay standing for a moment, or actually 1 minute, if you would please, for the troops that died in Kabul today. On behalf of our troops, thank you. Okay. Notation of the exits in the front and the rear. If you have any electronic device, please put it on vibrate. Tonight, the first item on the agenda, we have a public hearing about the removal of the Cobra Culvert Bridge and our replacement. I will lead off the public hearing after I get the approval. Oh, we need to do roll call? I'm here.
Okay, Councilman Alvarez is absent. Councilman Larka?
Here.
Councilman Lord?
Here.
Councilman O'Connor?
Here.
Supervisor Hay?
Here. Okay. There's a lot of information, maybe misinformation out there, so I'm going to try to at least clear the air to start the hearing tonight. After that, I'll go to the highway superintendent to add a couple items. I'll ask the board at that time if they want to make public comment or wait until the public has spoken, and then the public has an opportunity to speak. There's no time limit. We're asking that you not be repetitious. If you heard someone mention something once, try not to repeat it or to say I agree with the previous speaker, but we will not limit your speech. And I guess we'll start. Open the meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Over the past 2.5 to 3 years, the town has expended approximately $65,000 to conduct a full-blown assessment and study of the Cobb Road culvert. It included a field and hydraulic study for sizing, impact on Peach Lake, preliminary designs, permitting and grant applications. Based on those studies, it has been determined that it needs to be replaced. Now, this here is a pipe that runs under Cobb Road. As you can see, it's pretty well deteriorated with the rust. The bed of it has basically rotted away. Do the next one. So it's in really bad shape. So that's been going on for, well, probably, like I said, 2.5, 3, maybe even 4 years. Warren Lucas, supervisor from the town of North Salem, has been in touch with me this whole time, going back and forth. One of the estimates that we had was $1.2 million. We applied for a grant to replace it. Small little culvert, $1.2 million. So it took us a while to get all the studies done. We made a commitment to get it done this year, which we're doing at this point in time. That's the purpose of the public hearings, to announce what we found. But in the meantime, things came up like all the traffic on Cobb Road. So we've reconsidered. That's what's happening now. So the estimated cost of the replacement of the culvert is $1.2 million, and the town has applied for a grant to offset those costs. The town was successful and recently rewarded a $100,000 grant from Senator Harkin's office for this project. More recently, with the outpouring of complaints from residential neighborhood of Cobb Road being overrun with excessive traffic and speeding, another alternative to replacement of the culvert came forward, and that was to remove and not replace the culvert. Prior to directional mapping, oh, I forgot my pointer. Damn. Okay. Prior to directional mapping, which is Waze and Google, people were getting on and off down. How'd you do that? Okay, roll to the left. And they follow Hardscrabble Road. They get off Hardscrabble Road exit. They come up to, I can't read the road. No, before that, they get on to, what is that road? Bloomer Road. Briefly, and then head down Cobb Road.
can't see
Too
it.
bad, I can't see.
It's too small.
Okay, I can't even see the map. Okay. So it goes to Bloomer, goes down Star Ridge Road, and
Oh, here
then
we
down
go.
to Cobb Road.
Yeah, this is Star Ridge here, right? This is 7 Oaks Lane, come down here, down
Here's
Cobb
Cobb. There.
to 121.
Okay. It went from, the Cobb Road went from a horse and buggy road, that's slide 8 and 9. Go back. 8 and 9, okay. Okay, so Cobb Road, as you all know, to the left, you have Star Ridge Road. No, that's, Jesus, I'm doing pretty bad here. No, that's not, no. I have a tough time with it.
Storage is perpendicular to Cobra.
Yeah, okay. So the thought is to remove the culvert that's in the middle. So we have two choices. We're either gonna replace it or remove it. Now, one or the other has to get done. So, what's happening now, as you know, or people come, or maybe you don't know, but people are coming up to the Cobb Road, making a right, going off into Connecticut. Now, in the mornings, it's not as bad because people only take it actually coming home from work, not going to, because the traffic is not as bad in the evening, at least going south toward the city, as these people going across. Now, with no concerns being given to the residents' homes and families, vehicles literally fly by. However, much to my surprise, when the town requested Google and Waze about removing Cobb Road as an alternate road on their directional mapping, they removed it. And I was really surprised. They acted pretty rapidly once we asked them. However, the volume was somewhat reduced, but the volume of traffic remains persistent. Local law enforcement has taken action, but this is a problem that exists 365 days a year, and they don't have the time and manpower to patrol. The town has erected signs on the road, which is number 10. How did that happen? Okay, no through traffic. Now, a lot of people don't know what that means. No through traffic means no through traffic. If you live on Cobb Road, you're allowed. If you live on Peach, all the other developments, Ames,
Friendly.
Friendly, Peachbrook,
St. James.
St. James, you are in the neighborhood. Anyone else, if you're down the road, even a few feet, anyone that lives on Star Ridge Road, you are not local. You live local, but that is not a local road. So I'm getting a lot of comments from people that shouldn't be using the road, and I bet you 101 they use it all the time. So if we enforce that sign, there'd be a lot of people that'd be getting tickets, but unfortunately, they can't enforce that. But that's what that sign means. So if you're from another area, even on that Star Ridge Road, no matter what end you live on, if you don't live on those roads that we just mentioned, you're not eligible to be there. You're violating a traffic control device sign.
Tony,
Just so you know.
your battery's running low.
Oh, God, no.
Do you want to email this to me and I can pull it up on my computer?
Good.
Um,
Just, we're gonna take a few second break. Battery's dead, right? Yeah.
it's too large. You may want to grab the charger.
Oh, wait, here.
Oh, it's on here? I don't have a USB on my computer.
I
Oh,
only have
you know what?
USB-C.
Lady, we're gonna take a 2-minute break. I gotta get an extension cord. Oh. Okay, sorry for the delay. We're back in session. Okay, see, alternate, let's see, we're slide 10. Okay, there have been many suggestions from the public about making the problem go away per se. However, many are not feasible and practical, but as you get up to speak to them, we will address them. Now, the alternate being considered to remove and not replace the culvert and add a walking bridge. Slides 11, 12, 13. So if the bridge is removed, if the culvert is removed, we intend to put a walking bridge between the two east and west sections.
Nobody can get to because it's not through traffic.
Okay, we have a few rules here, ma'am. This is a public hearing. You can speak when you have the opportunity. And everyone, when you get up to speak, please be pleasant and reasonable. We're not here to fight. We're here to listen to what the public has to say, and please don't speak out. Thank you. So that's a rendering of what that bridge would look like. It's a walk-in bridge. Okay. Now, there's a substantial cost savings to the taxpayers of the town of Southeast. Removing and not replacing the culvert would cost approximately $300,000. The savings would be over $900,000. So regardless of replacing or removing the culvert, will still require the same governmental oversight the town, county, and state, including seeker. This is not a done deal. We've done a lot of work in the past 2.5 years, expended, like I said, over $65,000 in studies. It's going to require more. The DEC, all the permitting process have not even been considered yet because, one, we don't know what we're doing. Now, the first meeting in October is when this is going to come back to this board again. After tonight's meeting, we're not closing the public hearing. You're going to have 10 additional days to submit written comments to the town. And for the next month, this town board will, can go out to the site, speak to anyone they wish. You can send comments into the town. And on October 6th, I believe, is the next meeting that will discuss this. A resolution will come forward. Now, generally, when a resolution comes forward, it's in a positive nature. Like, they don't come and say, we're not going to do it. We put it if we are going to do it. If the board says no, it fails. If it says yes, it passes. We don't do it reverse. You don't say it's going to fail and then override the failure. So it will come back. Don't say, oh, they already made up their mind. We have not voted. I don't really know how all the board members feel. They aren't even aware of all this information because it's been gathered in the past, couple of days as items come in. Now, there is a belief amongst some that the culvert is responsible for the flooding in properties in and around Peach Lake. Want to go to 15, 16, 17? Now, this is Peach Lake. This is down by Peaches area. Now, those residents that live around the lake in that area and even in the southeast side doesn't believe it's coming from the culvert, because I believe, and I think a lot of other people believe, it's the outlet at the beach, not the beach, the area there where it goes on to Cobb Road, that is overflowed. And to dredge it, we've had probably 10 years ago, there was a proposal to dredge it, but it's not easy to get in there and it would be very, very expensive. So we're having a hard time doing 1.2. I don't know what it's going to cost to dredge it, if and when it can ever be done. I believe at one point in time, Ryder Farm was willing to take the material that came out because it's a very rich material, but how we get it there, it's going to be a very long, but that's a different process. Right now, we're going to remove the culvert. There are some, like I say, that believe that this is what is the cause of it, but it's only partially the cause. And the study did determine that part of that cause was because of the culvert. So since the culvert replacement study began, other issues have risen, given the situation another look, and that's exceeding speed and inordinate amount of traffic being diverted onto a residential street have come to the forefront. I have personally been out to the site on several occasions to witness alleged flooding, traffic, and speed, and this past Tuesday, August 24th, 2021, between the hours of 16:25 p.m. and 16:55 p.m., I conducted, witnessed, and videotaped for 1/2 hour what the residents of Cobb Road endure daily. I have been out there previously and will admit, this day the traffic was much less than many times I've been out previously. Bottom line, vehicle traffic count on a residential street were 248 vehicles, of which 47 were out of state and of which 42 were from Connecticut. By the way, I would like to compare outpouring of complaints similarly made to the town board concerning commercial development at Interstate Logistics. That's a project on Pugsley Road, whereby 300 tractor trailers a day would traverse the roadways. However, now a reverse argument is being made and presented in favor of having 248 vehicles on the town road on half-hour times of 496 vehicles in an hour. So it's amazing how one group maybe doesn't have a problem with the traffic and another does on two ends of town. One was a commercial quarter and this is a residential quarter. I also have pulled from our file this evening that the count that was done during our study, which came to us on April 5th of 2021, there's 2,827 cars a day that traverse Cobb Road. And I'm telling you right now, my count, there's 37 parcels that touch that road. So there's maybe, I think, 35 houses. One person lives on Peach and Cobb, but it's only the property the house is on, whatever. But you're looking at 35 homes and 2,827 vehicles traverse that per day. That's a lot of traffic. That is not a local road, in my mind. Okay, Cobb Road consists of 37 parcels, of which will be the primary parcels that will be directly affected, impacted for the repair and removal of Cobb Road. Now, I say consists of 37 primary parcels. Cobb Road, like when we have the local traffic, they are primary. And the other roads, which I have here, Ames Road, Friendly Road, Fair Meadows Drive, Peachbrook Lane, and St. James Place will be indirectly affected. In other words, they can still conduct business. If Cobb Road was not in existence, those people could still get to and from their house similarly as is being proposed if we were to cut off the bridge. And I call the bridge Culvert. Any vehicles other than people that live in the two neighborhoods directly and indirectly impacted by through traffic are actually disobeying, like I said previously, a traffic safety control device. Now, it appears that the most prominent objection to the removal of the culvert from the western side is the loss of what was a residential neighborhood road has now become a shortcut and relatively major thoroughfare to access neighboring Connecticut and get to the other side of town. Regardless, both roads still have access to either. However, it may take an additional 2 to 2.5 minutes. So if the bridge gets removed in the middle, we timed it to go from one to the other, it's about 2.5 minutes. Now, I know I'm going to hear someone say to me, well, what if you're dying of a heart attack? 2.5 minutes could save your life. Yes, it could. But when I give you some other examples of roads here in the town, it's the same situation. Cobb Road residents, unlike Stallion Trail and Seven Oaks Lane, still have two means of egress. Now, I mentioned those two other developments because they only have one means of egress in and one out. So if there's any kind of a problem down there, fire, ambulance, or whatever, they have a problem. Our roads, where we are, with and without that culvert, have two means of egress, which is a good thing for the residents. The town has a history of roads and parcels being detached. As an example, Zimmer Road. Now, for those of you who don't know where Zimmer Road, when you go on Route 312, if you're coming from the Dykeman's area, you hit the bridge, the first road to the right is Zimmer Road. You go up there, we have a town park, there's volunteer park up that way, New York State Electric and Gas. And what happened when they built 84? Go there to the left, right there. That road used to go straight across and come over to Pugsley Road. They cut it off. So whatever they experienced then is what we will experience now. They lived through whatever those experiences were, and we will as well if it gets removed. So that road was dissected by I-84 when it was built. More recently, Prospect Hill Bridge was closed for well over a decade. It closed when I was on the legislature for 6 months. It was almost 11 years. And whatever difficulties they may have encountered and experienced were overcome, and this project, once completed, will also be able to have it overcome. What's slide 20? That's 19. Is that 19?
That's fine.
20? Okay. Now, the next one is Peaceful Hill, where we have a water district. The town went up there, we bought some property from the owner. And when they bought that property, go back. See, now go straight across. Right where it says Pine, go down to the left, and then go up. Yeah, right there is the water plant. We bought approximately 20 plus acres, and some of it went across the road, go across the road. Nope, the other way. Yeah. And that got dissected by I-84 when it was built as well. And it's not a road, but it shows you that from time to time things happen and you have to adjust your life accordingly. I don't know how much an adjustment has to be made. You just have to maybe get used to maybe not taking a shortcut to where you got to go and take a longer way around. So the Peaceful Water District was there and still there, but I wanted to show you that this is not uncommon to do this. Can I ask who keeps speaking out there, please? Everyone will have an opportunity to speak. And when you come up, there's his mic where you do it, please. Now, Another issue being referenced was that there would be additional traffic at the intersection of Route 6 and Star Ridge Road. That's where the new Dunkin' Donuts is located. Now, that's where the traffic should be going anyway, in my mind. The traffic is already on the road. It just needs to go another half mile. Once there, the intersection is controlled by a New York State DOT traffic-controlled signaled intersection. Couldn't ask for more. Now, when you come out on either end of Cobb Road, there's no signaled intersection, and it's very dangerous. Now, how come we never got to those pictures?
These ones?
No, the other ones, showing the traffic back up. Okay, go one more. Okay, now, this is Cobb Road, and you're heading toward 121, North Salem Road as well. Now, this house, Cobb Road is all the way to your left, and this in front, the gentleman that owns that house, can I use your name, or just your address? Okay, it's Jack's house. What's your number?
124.
124 Cobb Road. So from Cobb Road in 124, it backs up to his house. Go to the next one.
It goes like that.
So that tractor trailer is about the middle of his circular driveway. People are constantly turning around his driveway, but that tractor trailer, and I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know how that, good thing there was nobody coming the other way. Because I've been out there, I saw another gentleman just come in, and he lives in that area as well. And when I pull out of his driveway and the other gentleman's driveway, they live right next to one another, it's for your life. It's very hard to see, and something like that would be a real detriment to anyone. So where that tractor trailer is, we measured it, it's 500 feet to Cobb Road. Now, I'm not going to do calculations to try to figure out, first of all, there should be no tractor trailers on the road whatsoever. UPS vehicle, yes, and again, local traffic. That is not local unless someone ordered a new garage, pre-built. Okay. Right now, these vehicles are going to an uncontrolled intersection on either end of Cobb Road, which is far more dangerous. Now, the reason I'd rather see cars go up and down Star Ridge Road is it's 24 feet wide. Cobb Road at its widest point is 20 feet wide, and there's absolutely no curbing on the side. There's no, what's the word? Shoulders. Yeah, shoulders, okay? And I'm telling you, when I was out there measuring, going back and forth in that road, I am telling you now, cars were speeding by like you wouldn't believe. I went out there with the town engineer, the highway superintendent's here this evening. He's going to make a couple of comments before we open up to the public about some of the comments that people make. Yeah, they're good comments, but there's things that are practical and that are not practical. So the bottom line, 20 feet and 24 feet, there's a big difference. And again, I believe it's a problem. I think a lot of people think it's a problem, but there's others that don't. But when we're done, we'll find out how this board feels will take place. Again, no decisions being made this evening, and on October 6th, was it?
7th.
October 7th, mark it down. That's the night the board will vote which way. And every town board member, we have one absent, and he'll be brought up to date. He'll get this full package. This will be on the town's webpage probably when? Yeah. Tomorrow. Okay. So if you want to go back and look at this, just go on your website tomorrow, southeast-ny.gov, and this will be on that website tomorrow. Now, pit number 20, go to slide 21. Oh, by the way, when you leave this evening, we have another part of the meeting going on afterwards, but if you want, in the back there, there's a board there. It has these areas showing the culvert, where the culvert removal is. Now, let me get my bearings. That there is Peach. Go up to Peach. That's Peach. Come down and okay, now you're coming on the Cobb Road. It's going to dead end right there if this gets done. It'll dead end there. There'll be a walking path. Now it's a walking path. Keep going. And right there is where the culvert and the bridge will take place, and you can go to the other side. Now, why they feel this is backing up with the water there, the culvert is probably 3 feet wide at that point. Now, the culvert, the whole culvert, it's only a big tube this big, which you saw earlier on. So the water gets there. If it is opened up, we'd have not only the 5 feet that's there, which, and the state requires, and it's New York City DEC, the requirement is to have a 20-foot span. That's the minimum. So when we replace it, it's gonna be much bigger than what it is. So the water will definitely flow better from Peach Lake to that area, but it's a requirement. And again, we follow all the rules and regulations of state, federal governments, county, and our own. Wetlands inspections, this will not what's the word? Not go through any other detail other than any other person that were to do something. We have to abide by the same one. And the biggest thing we have is seeker, and that is something we start to finish, and then go a little further. No, go back. Now go up a little more. Keep going. You see the turnaround? Go right there. Now, when you're coming in Cobb Road from Star Ridge Road, you're going to come down. Right across the street, pretty much from that area there, is where the land trust people have their home or building. They have their parking lot there. And that's where, now, at the very end of Friendly Road, there'll be a sign put up, dead end, or no through traffic, or there's no outlet. That's what it'll put. So it's basically dead ended there. And there's 2 homes. The one house on the corner of Friendly and Cobb, his house faces Friendly, but his driveway is on Cobb. The next house on his same side is on Cobb. I don't show the houses there. Yeah, there they are. Okay. And then the landmarks is on this side. So that's the dead end. So, go back to the other side to the right. So when you come off Peachbrook, nothing's changing. Peachbrook, then you make a right if they have to, or they'll go around. I don't live in that house. So if the person gives up speed, when you go out, do you go out toward St. James to go out, or do you come out there and make a right to go up to Route 121? And on the other side, you have the landmarks. That's the only building on that side of the road. And like I said, on the other side, there's a driveway and one other house. And someone made a comment that they're going to have their own private drive at the expense of the taxpayers. Well, they're paying their taxes. It's a town road and will still be considered a town road. But we should provide a turnaround, which that does. The other one doesn't need a turnaround because it has a natural flow of traffic. And that's the best we can do. So, at this point in time, Mr. Burdick, would you like to come up and tell, there's 2 items that you want to address, or I asked you to address?
In the past several months, I've gotten several calls from residents on Cobb Road requesting stop signs, additional stop signs at Peachbrook and at Friendly. I have to follow state guidelines for the municipal. This New York State tells us when we can put stop signs. Traffic studies need to be done, and basically with the traffic study, it says that you need to have 5 or more accidents at that intersection in a 12-month period. Each road, so Cobb Road would have to have 300 cars per day, and Peachbrook would have to have 300 cars per day, or Friendly would have to have 300 cars per day. They have to have equal amounts of traffic to be able to put stop signs. Also, the state also has done a study that stop signs actually, residents think that it's going to decrease the speed. It actually increases the speed because people feel that they lost time at the stop sign, so they accelerate faster after they get through that stop sign to try to make up that time. This is all, New York State has got the document, there's tons and tons of documentation on this stuff. And also, speed bumps. I have requests for speed bumps all over the place, not just Cobb Road, but anywhere where there's excessive speed. This is from also from New York State. Speed bumps are generally not recommended for the installation of public roadways because they may cause a vehicle to jolt when crossed at an unlawful speed limit. And then also here, there's also a conclusion from the state comptrollers concluding that the town or village should not erect speed bumps in the street to encourage slowing of traffic. Such bumps can lead to a potential liability for bump-related mishaps. So they're not illegal, but the town ends up taking liability if there's an accident. So if you install a speed bump, somebody goes over it too fast, regardless whether they were speeding or not, the town's going to end up being liable if there's an accident. So, you know, that's really the basis of the reason why speed bumps, and, you know, there's one place in town that has speed bumps, and that's Blackberry Village, going into Blackberry, because it's a low-count road, and it's a one-way in and one-way out. So, you know, the state allowed us to put speed bumps there. But other than that, you know, speed bumps are really not a good way to try to control speed. Also, you know, I don't know how many of you residents, I've been working for the highway department for 25 years. When I went to work there, Fields Lane was dirt. Cobb Road was dirt. You know, we've done these improvements for our residents, you know, to take these roads and turn them into passable roads, less maintenance for the highway department, less problems for the residents. But then on the other side of that, it ends up becoming people use these for shortcuts. Joe's Hill Road is another one. Joe's Hill Road was partially dirt. We had a tree come down over there. I was blocking traffic on the end. There had to be 60 or 70 cars in an hour, mostly Connecticut, that wanted to get over Joe's Hill Road to get to Connecticut. So this is it's not really an uncommon problem. It's happening all over the place. Cobb Road, it seems to me, I've been out there several times, Cobb Road is very, very excessive. And it's unfortunately because of the way the road is, you know, the way the road is, there is no room for improvements. It's not like the highway department can go in there and we can improve that road, make it wider, make it more passable. It's just, it's something that's not feasible. We don't own the property, we don't have right-of-ways, so there's really no way for us to improve that road to handle the amount of traffic that's on it right now. So I just wanted to give you a little background on that, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Town board members, would you care to speak now, or you want to wait until the public's spoken and?
I'd like to hear what the public says myself.
Okay. Okay. The public hearing will be, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go around this way and then come over this way. You're not limited by time. State your name and where you live. You don't have to give us your street number, but if you're on Cobb Road or wherever.
I think we have to open the public hearing.
We did.
Yep, we did.
Oh, we did?
We did it
Sorry.
right. I did that right. So, ma'am, and again, try not to be repetitious. If you heard someone speak to it, just say, you know, I'm not saying move along, but you're not limited to time. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Jocelyn Sarro, and I'm here on behalf of my brother and his wife, who couldn't be here because they're taking their kids up to college. They are at 40 Friendly Road. And quite honestly, they're very concerned that the town wants to make a dead end out of a very viable street. It is concerning because it impedes or rather threatens the safety of the people on all of those inner streets there, because it cuts off access to a major artery, which really will add time for fire and EMS to respond. It will eliminate the benefit of having mutual aid from Danbury, which probably is our closest in mutual aid. And, you know, it's very ill thought to take a road that I understand is plagued by Connecticut traffic coming through, but so are so many other roads, you know, and it is unfortunately a hazard of what it is. The highway super said that speed bumps are a problem, they're a liability for the town. Well, you know what? Everything's a liability for the town. And if you're not speeding, you're not going to have an accident going over the speed bumps. Believe me, the first time someone hits a speed bump at a high rate of speed, they're going to know it and they're not going to do it again. So I really think that that's a cop-out. Speed bumps could solve the problem on Cobb very easily without having to terminate that road, because the town is trying to enhance the Route 6 corridor as a business area. And now you're eliminating a whole road which would allow the residents that live there access to the Route 6 corridor. You know, that's also all of the people that live on Friendly and Ames and Peach, they all get off at 84 coming out of, coming west. They get off at Peach and they go up. Either they're going to make a right and go down to the light and make a left and then go to the light and then make another left to come up Star Ridge to go down Friendly or down Cobb. That's ridiculous, but that's what you're going to force them to do if you shut Cobb. So that's only one of the issues, but that's the major issue. And the town should be on notice that you are putting everybody at risk. And it's $1.2 million is a very small price to pay for even one life that's saved. Because we have volunteer fire and EMS, and they do a wonderful job, and they do the best they can, but they're not a paid department, and it takes time for them to assemble and get to where they need to go with their equipment, and to bring in all kinds of tanker trucks of water and everything else that's needed. Every second that you delay will cost a life. And this is all, on behalf of my brother, who is a 40-year firefighter. He just retired, and I think he knows what he's talking about. Seconds matter when it comes to lives. Also, we live in a crazy world. You're eliminating an evacuation route. You mentioned before about Prospect Hill Road being closed for almost 11 years, and you almost sounded proud about it, that we championed on and figured out how to get around without crossing Prospect Hill. I live over on that end, and you know what? It adds 7 minutes to my route to the hospital. That's 7 minutes. If you're having a heart attack, 7 minutes is the difference between life and death. That's a long 7 minutes, So you really have to put in perspective what you're doing. I understand that it's a cost savings method to replace the culvert with a bridge instead of repairing the road and repairing the culvert. But you know what? You did that to Morningthorpe. You took away a road and you put in a walking bridge. Well, you know what? You just changed the flow of traffic so that it's impossible to come up on the other road to go through town to get home. So it's nonsense. I think that the town holds these public meetings to comply with the letter of the law. You already know what you're going to do, and shame on you. That's not right. It really is not right. I also think that, Prospect Hill being closed for 11 years, that's also shame on the town, because we allowed it. We allowed them to dilly-dally, and it added costs to our Department of Transportation for the schools. It inconvenienced every resident that lived on that road, and it eliminated access to a major artery in our town. Okay, so, again, think in terms of New York State. Every time I drive somewhere in New York State, I see evacuation routes. Okay, and I'm not an alarmist, but you know what? The state of New York is putting that up for a reason. Okay, they want people to be prepared and have an orderly way of egress out of an area. And you know what? You're just cutting that off. And it makes a huge difference, because the only route out of Cobb and Ames and Friendly will be up Friendly Road, okay? Or up Cobb if you're on that end. But most of the 3 roads that come in off of Friendly will all go up Friendly Road. How does that solve anything? So you divert the traffic from one place and create it in another. I really think that the town needs to give this some more consideration. As I said, I'm speaking for my brother and his wife, Peter and Maureen Pastore, but I wholeheartedly support what they're saying, because, it's not a wonderful thing to think that our town wants to be penny wise and pound foolish. 1.2 million sounds like an awful lot of money, but we have over 7,000 taxable parcels in the town of Southeast. If you amortize that over the number of parcels, it comes out to a 200+ increase in taxes. I don't think that we're so destitute in the town of Southeast that we can't absorb that for 1 year, because that's what it would be. It would be 1 year to absorb that cost. It really frustrates me that the town has let our infrastructure deteriorate to the point where now everything is coming to crisis, where things have to be repaired, and they're not being able to address them because they have to cut corners here to patch this, to do that. I'm on Sycamore Road, and I'm still waiting for my road to be paved. Okay, the highway department came in and raised my catch basin to try and resolve my water issue. I don't know if it's worked yet because I haven't gone through the winter, but I will find out. I hope it did. But that doesn't absolve the issue of the road that still needs to be repaired. You know, I really think that we have to get it together. Stop giving pilot programs. How about allowing more businesses to come into the town of Southeast without making them strangled by fees, which has most businesses abandoning the process because they can't afford $40,000 in the planning board before they even break ground on their project.
Can we
You know,
speak to the Cobb Road situation?
Yeah, I will, but you know what,
digress.
it all relates, because
Well,
it's the
I don't
same
see how it
issue
does.
that the town is being penny wise and pound foolish. You know, there are ways of raising the money to take care of the issue. Okay, it's not that, like I
It's
said.
not just a fiscal
It's not
issue.
that the answer is close the road.
Okay,
You know,
There's
don't
other
close the
people
road.
that-
Think of the people,
thank you.
Okay,
you know?
thank you.
Hi, I'm Joanne Dobson, 32 Cobb Road. My husband Dave is here. We're up toward what I now know is West Cobb Road.
No, not yet. It may never be.
I would like to move off a bit from all these issues and look at something that is sort of being overrun, and that's the monster in the room, which is I-84, right? Which I took when I was teaching at Fordham University. I took 684 up and got off, and sometimes terrible traffic to get back onto Cobb, and it's not the road it was 25 years ago when I moved here. It's a very different road. Number one, because of those little gadgets that you carry in your pockets now that allow you to look at the alternate ways. If there's an accident on 84, Cobb Road gets stopped, just jammed with cars that can't move. So that's a locational issue that's not really being addressed. That we have become, in the morning, Cobb Road has become an on-ramp for I-84, and in the evening, it has become an off-ramp for 684. And more young families are moving in, and I dread the thought of what those children have to face if they are on the road at any time. That's my main point. Those are my main points.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good evening. My name's Richard O'Rourke. I've been a resident on 119 Cobb Road for the last 35 years, and then I lived before that on Friendly Road, so it was for 10 years, so that's 45 years. So I have seen the change that has occurred over time. My observations are as follows. I have seen Peter Pan buses, I have seen semi-tractor trailers, as evidenced by one of the photographs that's been here. I have been passed, as I go 30 miles an hour on Cobb Road, cars passing me. I'm at a point now where this is common sense. Someone's talking about safety. Somebody's going to get killed there. I had my granddaughter, my daughter, and my son-in-law living with me during COVID for a period of 10 months. we reached the point where they could not go out on the road. You could not walk on that road. I told them, and they realized, you can't walk on that road. I have neighbors that I see trying to walk a dog, and when a car comes by, they have to step into a driveway. It is ridiculous. This is common sense. We're talking about safety. It was one thing when the road was dirt, when I first moved there. People respected the speed limit. You cannot expect anything to occur other than some catastrophic accident with semi-tractor trailers, Peter Pan buses, backups that go well beyond what one would think would be local traffic. This is a life safety matter. And I would tell you emphatically, from my perspective, my observations over 35 years, this has to be solved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm short. Good evening. My name is Betty Briggs. I live on Seven Oaks Lane in Star Ridge Manor. I've had the pleasure of living up here in Upcountry since 1977. I'm a little confused as I hear your presentation and the wonderful speakers thus far. I thought we were talking about rerouting a water issue. This has become now a traffic issue, which may be one and related, but it is a little confusing. As you stated earlier, you've worked with Warren Lucas. I lived in North Salem 10 years prior to coming over the line. Star Ridge Manor is off of Star Ridge Road. It's a major thoroughfare. The problem is, you're right, getting off at Hardscrabble Road, taking Hardscrabble to the end, hanging a right on 124, hanging a right on Bloomer, hanging a right on Star Ridge Road to get to Cobb. I agree, it's crazy. But there's got to be a better way to monitor the traffic flow than to say we're going to create basically a private road. That is what you're creating. You're saying that unless you live in that immediate circular area, you can no longer use that. That's creating a private road. And you want my tax dollars to support a private road. I'm questioning whether I agree with that. My next problem is with school buses. You mentioned having DOT and all the other surveys done and traffic studies and whatever. I didn't hear you say one single word about school buses. You're right, Cobb is a very narrow road with no sidewalks. We have children that must entrance school buses. How are they going to get in? Where are they going to turn around? Or are we now going to have children as young as 5 walking up the other half of Cobb Road and standing on Star Ridge Road waiting for a school bus? To me, that seems very dangerous. I'm a 39-year educator, and my concern is for the children. The gentleman spoke about his, situation with not being able to walk on the road. Well, then what do we expect our children to do? You're right. Cobb Road is inundated by traffic coming from 684 and heading to Connecticut. Absolutely correct. I've witnessed it. I've been frustrated. But the problem is more than that, because if I'm coming from Danbury down Star Ridge Road, first I have to get through the intersection that was created by Southeast with the paint store and the Dunkin' Donuts right across from the gas station. It's insane. You can't get past that because people are all going in and out of Dunkin' Donuts. You want to know where the tractor trailers come from? Dunkin' Donuts. That's where they're coming from. You pull in there any day, any time of day, and you will see tractor trailers and all sorts of repair trucks. It's insane. It's dangerous. So we've already created one very dangerous intersection, and we all know what happens on Route 6 right at that corner. We've had numerous accidents over the years. So you want to do something? Why don't you work with Warren? Let's close Star Ridge Road. Let's make that a private road also. That'll cut off the traffic coming off of Hardscrabble Bloomer onto Star Ridge heading to Cobb. Let's make them all private. I'd love to be able to not sit trying to turn into Star Ridge Manor off of Star Ridge Road, sometimes for 6 to 7 minutes because of the stream of traffic. Where are they headed? Cobb, maybe. Maybe they're heading all the way down to 6. I don't know. All I know is the problem that Cobb is experiencing is real. But by making it a private road and not having access for those of us who live right around the corner, It really is. I mean, I'll be honest, I take Cobb, but I'm an old lady and I drive at a safe speed and I've never had a moving violation. Of course, I'll get one on the way out now. But I do follow the rule, and I do worry about many of these issues. But A, I'm not in favor of making it a private road. And it is a private road if I'm not allowed to use it. B, she made a wonderful point about emergency vehicles. Think about it. C, where are school buses going to go to pick up our children, and how are they going to turn around to get back out? We have Brewster schools, we have North Salem schools, but I didn't hear you say anything about any study. I didn't hear you say you talked with Warren about that issue. I'd like to know more about your plan to ensure the safety of our children. I think that you're talking to Waze, yeah. I'm coming into this millennium. You're right, it's no longer on there as a shortcut. I just checked it tonight. They no longer are sending people down Star Ridge and down Cobb. So congratulations on that. Let's hope it holds. I used to travel to New Rochelle, 684, to the Hutch, down Mamaroneck Avenue, 295. How many tractor trailers followed those GPS and got stuck under that first bridge almost once a week? I understand, but congratulations getting them to take off that. Once again, thank you for inviting us to address you. I truly hope and pray that you are open to our suggestions, our questions, and have not made up your mind. But I have to tell you, as somebody sitting here in the peanut gallery, it doesn't appear that way. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Paul Fucito. I've lived in Cobb Road for over 45 years. At the present time, I'm very, very scared and disappointed. The bridge itself, I saw a picture of the bridge. Can that bridge hold a truck that you showed, that moving truck, and another car coming the other way? In other words, if a truck is going over that size, will another car be able to pass, or will they have to stop?
Walking bridge.
It's just a walking foot.
The old one is a culvert, which is in need of replacement. If we do this, the bridge, the culvert would come out and there'd be a walking bridge to get across.
Right, so the road would be closed. If you left it open, what would happen?
Well, we're gonna, either gonna
Okay.
remove it or replace it.
But those trucks that Mr. O'Rourke talked about, they're real. I sit in my house every day watching them go by. You might have went by, you might have done your tests at a certain time of day, which was accurate, an average day. Have you ever been on my road when there's a backup on 84 coming north or coming the other way? Has anybody ever witnessed that? Has anybody? I'm tired of hearing screeching tires at the top of Cobb Road. Nobody mentioned that. When you get to the top of Star Ridge Road in Cobb, which is where my house is, okay, and you go right or left, it's not an easy turn. If anybody that's been there, it's somewhat of a blind turn. You got to stick your nose out before you turn. So now you're waiting behind everybody else, and they're getting annoyed. I never thought I would do it. I have a gate that I close on my driveway of my house. I'm tired of cars turning around in my driveway. One night, I don't know if it had anything to do with this, 2 o'clock in the morning, there's somebody parked behind my car in my driveway. I don't know if that's from any of this, but it is a very, very busy situation. Nobody brought up the litter. I go out every day, not every day, but quite often, picking up bottles, picking up cans. I go up as far as Star Ridge Road. Anybody that knows me in the area knows, like Mrs. Platt, I walk the neighborhood. We've walked it. We have routes. It's very difficult anymore. But you can't even see the garbage until you walk. There's plenty of garbage up there from that. Litter always noisy and high speed. All day long, high speed. When I go to get my mail right now, I've got to be very careful to go out and get my mail. And it's not because I'm getting older. That's not it. It's scary. It's just scary. I feel bad. You mentioned Friendly Road. Come over my house and sit in a chair in front of my house and see what goes on. My own kids are scared. My grandkids, I'm petrified of that. If How long is this project going to take? Isn't that going to knock this out if you do go ahead?
Say
How long
again?
how long is the project going to take to complete?
Approximately 3 months, they estimate.
Just 3 months?
Just to remove it, to
So
rebuild.
Your
How-
question is, how long would the road be closed if it was replaced?
If you put, yeah.
It'd probably be closed for like 6 months, I'd imagine.
If you close the culvert, right?
Their road will have to be closed.
Let's say you're not knocking out the road and the road's going to stay the same and now you're going to fix the culvert.
It'll still be closed for months.
It's going to be closed for months, everybody. And you know
Regardless,
what?
one
By
minute.
that time is the time it would take to get used to the fact that you can't go down Cobb Road anymore to go to the mall. You're going to have to go around, and we're all going to have to live with it. I don't mind living with it if it's quieter, unless it's safe. It's not that I feel like, oh, my house is going to be worth more money because I'm on a private road. That's not it. It's just, it's so many factors.
You might change your tune the first time you
Ma'am, do not read, ma'am, please. From the comments from the audience.
All right, the last thing I want to say
You
is,
can address it.
think of
please.
it this way. I now, and it's not because I'm getting older, I now, when I leave my driveway, I turn around in my driveway and put my nose of my car out first, because I don't want to get clipped in the rear, and that is real. That's every day. Every day. You back out of that car, people, they're hitting horns and everything else at you. But you're not going to know that unless you live on Cobb Road. That's about it. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Hello. I'm one of those houses, the two houses that are east of Friendly Road on Cobb that you talked about.
Your last name, sir?
Hmm?
Your last name?
Brady.
Brady?
Yeah.
And you were on Cobb or on Friendly?
Both.
Oh, you're the last house
Right.
on that corner?
Yep.
Okay, your driveway's off of Cobb and your house faces
Correct.
Friendly. Okay.
So I just wanted to understand the vision of that walking bridge. Like when you say you're going to rebuild the culvert, even with the walking bridge, what would that look like?
No, if we
No.
rebuild the culvert, there's no walking bridge. It's going to be the major thoroughfare that it currently is. That does not change. So our choice is to remove the culvert, and I heard from residents that they would like a walking bridge so they get from one side to the other. Or the culvert gets replaced and there's no walking bridge and the traffic continues to go as it's currently.
Okay, so in the event, the plan of removing it and closing the road and putting in a walking bridge, the brook would look similar to this? There'd be no pipe whatsoever? It'd just be returned to like a flowing stream and it'd be a
Yes.
20 width dimensions, whatever the state requires or something like that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so there's no like concrete structure, an arch that goes over the whole thing or something like that? Nothing?
There'll be
Just trying to get the
concrete
same vision. What's that?
There'll be concrete on the sides, right? And
They
they'll
have
hold
to-
the bridge?
They have to make an abutment. In other words, that bridge will have to sit
Okay,
on
so they'll have an abutment there, okay.
Yes.
All right.
a small
And then,
abutment for a walking bridge. But if it goes back to a culvert, there'll be a bigger abutment and it's 20 feet wide.
Okay, if the road stays as a,
Yes, and
Connecting
it'll be just like it
121,
is
yep.
now. You don't even know that it's underneath you.
yep, well, I see it, because I looked at it. But,
Okay.
and then the second question is, if it is terminated, that part of Cobb would be plowed by the town in the winter?
Yes.
Okay.
It plows up to the one point.
Still a town road?
It's a town road, not a private road like it's being said.
Right.
And there's many roads like that within our town.
Okay. All right, that's it, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jack Gallagher. I live on Cobb Road, 124 Cobb Road. What I have heard tonight is sort of a great idea of reducing and making the road safety. Something has to be done. That traffic backs up. I don't want to be redundant. It backs up. It overflows onto 121, making a left to get back onto 84 to try to do a cut through from Hardscrabble Road to Star Ridge. Again, I don't want to be redundant, but that's what's happening. If this goes through, that you have a walking bridge, you will eliminate the traffic. It'll be safer. The road doesn't comply anyway to the town code. It's 20 feet wide rather than 24 feet. And that was one of the reasons why we put, back in the day, we put a double line there, because people were taking that whole road up, driving up the middle. And then that kind of, the last predecessor highway superintendent, he was the one who decided to do the double line to try to keep people a little more organized on staying on one side or the other. But something has to be done. The tractor trailer happened to be in front of my house, but I have a circular driveway there. People are constantly turning around there, even in the evening when that backs up 6 or 8 cars. It doesn't have to back up very much on Cobb Road. And so they turn around, and I park my car in that circular driveway so that they don't do it. And yes, they go on my lawn around my car and go back up Cobb Road again. With regards to buses, there is no impact whatsoever to a bus. What you would have is Cobb Road East and Cobb Road West, and you would have a turnaround on both sides, going through Friendly, like they normally do now, the buses, and going through St. James and Peach Brook. So there's no impact whatsoever for buses. Right now, it's horrendous. If there was an emergency, you can't, and somebody was on that road, vehicles of the fire department or an ambulance can't get through. It just can't happen. And it is dangerous. I already got hit there. I was nailed by a mirror when I was walking. So it is a dangerous road. Something has to be done, and it needs to have something to stop, slow down the traffic, and basically make it some way that it's not going to be a drive-through from one side to the other. I applaud the idea of taking out widening the culvert that fixes the water flow, and then also making it similar to what we have in the rails where we take our bikes, except this will be a walking bridge rather than a bicycle bridge. But I think it would end up being very nice, and no one's blocked out at all, because once in 30, 60, or 90 days of the people that are taking that road all these years, they're going to find out very quickly that that road's not going to be through traffic. So it's going to be nice and quiet and safe. That's pretty much all I have to say.
Can I ask one question? Why do you think they turn around in your driveway?
Well, the traffic.
So when they're heading out toward 121,
Right.
it's too crowded, so they're going to turn around and go back the other way?
That's what they were doing. That's exactly what they were doing.
Wow.
They probably go down Star Ridge, Route 6.
Yeah, and then that's ending what they're probably doing. I don't know where they go after they leave my driveway. And to Mr. Facito's point, I have to nose my car out too. I can't back out of that driveway. The back end of my car will be creamed. They're doing 50 miles an hour. They have to stop the traffic. We did things, but that's not the end. Something has to be improved. I like the idea of dead-ending it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bradley Schwartz. I've lived in Star Ridge Manor for 38 years. First, thank you, Mr. Hay, for giving an excellent presentation. I worked in Danbury, Connecticut for 31 years and took Cobb Road every day to and from work. And over that period of time, the road has obviously become much busier and unsafe, and even though I retired some years ago, I encountered numerous times of seeing dangerous behavior on that road. I still use Cobb Road now on a weekly basis. I'm a taxpayer in the town of Southeast, and I feel that I am entitled as a taxpayer to use any town road. I consider myself a resident local to that area. I do not go on Cobb Road during rush hour, but sometimes it might be 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And at those times, there's not very much traffic on the road. I was on Cobb Road today around noontime, and maybe I saw 5 cars in a period of 20 minutes. And I was there 2 days ago, similar thing. I have a bunch of comments. First, I'm very surprised and disappointed that the culvert has deteriorated to the point that it is now, seemingly because there's been no maintenance on this over the years. I did not hear anything about any evaluation that the culvert or road over it is structurally unsafe. I did not hear any mention of an evaluation to see whether the present culvert could be rehabilitated, perhaps with some type of a liner. There were comments about the intersection of Star Ridge Road at Route 6. I avoid that intersection whenever possible. It is almost impossible sometimes to make a left-hand turn from Route 6 onto Star Ridge Road. Very dangerous. So if I'm at the Brewster Veterinary Hospital, I will go around and go up Cobb Road rather than go through that intersection. It's much safer. There have been other comments about the traffic on Star Ridge Road, which is horrendous. It happens from time to time during the day. Huge amounts of traffic, very difficult getting in and out of Star Ridge Manor. Everybody has to deal with this, and I think the town has to think about addressing these issues in addition to the Cobb Road problem. We just went through Hurricane Henri. The level in Peach Lake is extremely high, probably as high as I've ever seen it. I was down at the Culvert 2 days ago and today. Water is flowing freely through it. Removing the culvert is not going to do anything to lower the level in Peach Lake. That's caused by blockages at the outlet of the lake. Water is not flowing into the brook fast enough. Very simple. Finally, I think the consideration of having a footbridge at town expense that would benefit very few residents is just crazy to me, to even think of doing something like that. You know, if the town board decides to eliminate the culvert and have nothing there, I don't see why we should be spending money on a footbridge that is going to be used by a few people to travel from one side of the old Cobb Road to the east side to the west side. Thank you very much.
Just a quick comment so everyone knows. Go ahead, Vic, you can get up in the meantime.
No, I don't want to, I'm not going to interrupt.
Basically, the town has lobbied the New York State DOT at the Route 6 and Star Ridge ever since the proposal for Dunkin' Donuts to go in there, and they have not come back with it. The recommendation to them was to put a left-hand turn signal there. They're balking at it, they're not moving on it, because when you're when you're coming out of town and you're gonna make a left on Route 22 North, if there's vehicles there, they have a green light to go up, they should have a light to go left, but they don't. So the cars are coming. So now the cars that can't make a right are sitting there, blocking the view of the people coming up, and what happens, they don't see them, and you're gonna have a big crash because of that. And we've lobbied, I know, for at least 3 years at the junction of 121 and Route 6, where the Fox Ridge used to be, it's Comfort Inn, whatever it is now. We've asked, and they have not moved whatsoever in 3 years. So we have lobbied, we are asking, but they're not doing a good job. Go ahead.
And if your numbers, Mr. Hay, about an additional 3,000 cars traveling on Cobb Road are correct and are detoured on Star Ridge Road to Route 6, it's going to make that intersection even more impossible than it presently is. I'll get to that, but there are a couple of other points I wanted to make. Earlier this evening, you mentioned a 3-year study that included the impact on Peach Lake. I don't know if anybody in the public has seen that study or if it's available for review or consideration, but I think it would be helpful if we had a chance to see what in fact was studied and what supports or doesn't support the conclusions that are there, because I got the impression that from your remarks that the study involving the culvert replacement almost had a predetermined outcome. I think it's important that it be made available so that people can review it and consider it rather than just hear about it for the first time at this informational meeting / public hearing. Now, a couple of people have mentioned, and you yourself mentioned, the fact that Waze and the Google GPS systems have had an impact, and that when you communicated with them and asked them to mark off Cobb Road as not a through road, they've responded. That's one step to reduce traffic. Hasn't been effective in and of itself, because people have developed the habit of using that route, so they don't have to look at Waze, or they don't have to look at the GPS anymore. They do it automatically as a matter of routine. Well, you know what? And as somebody said, that if the road construction is going to occur and the road's going to be closed off, then people will get another habit. They'll stop doing it. They'll stop going that way. Very simple. Put a barricade at the top of Cobb and at the top of Friendly and let people get out of the habit. Because once they get out of the habit, it won't be the problem that we're now facing. I am probably, well, I'll rephrase that. You touched on the impact on Peach Lake
of the culvert removal. And I think I have a basis to speak about that. And quite frankly, the increase in width, if the culvert is removed, is not going to have any impact on the water level in Peach Lake. Absolutely none. I live on 7 Oaks Lane. I don't know if I said that. I've been there since 1985, and I've seen the impacts and the changes on Peach Lake and on the outlet at Peach Lake. The issue of closing Cobb Road or the removal of the culvert and its effect on Peach Lake are all related and should not be separated if a resolution is intended to be successful. Put another way, the removal of the culvert and the closing of Cobb Road will do absolutely nothing to affect the level of Peach Lake. The issues with the flow from Peach Lake have nothing to do with the culvert. Any effort at the culvert will be a complete waste of time and money if the goal is to reduce the level of the lake. The flow is affected and restricted by the buildup of silt at the outlet and in Peach Lake Brook. When we first moved in, and I should indicate for the record that my house borders the Peach Lake Brook. When we first moved in, the depth of the brook behind us was 2 to 3 feet. Boats navigated the brook out to the lake. There was a dam built probably 100 years ago, maybe more, by the Ryder family for the purpose of maintaining the level of the lake. And the Ryder family still has, under my deed, the right to enter my property to maintain that dam. So you can maintain the level of the lake very easily if that dam is in use. However, as the silt buildup began over the last 10, 15, 20 years, and we know the issues around the lake, I don't have to go into that, the boats found it difficult to navigate the brook. You could still use a canoe, but not anymore. Now the silt buildup is so great that you can barely get a kayak on that brook. That means there's no clearance. That's how much fill has gone into the outlet. The lily pads are there. They've proliferated along with grass, soaking up and grabbing anything they can in the brook. They extend along the brook, choking off the outlet, and the water level has risen above the dam because it does not flow through the silt and the lilies. So it's only got one place to go, and that's up and around on the sides of the brook. If the water flowed from the lake, the level would be maintained by the dam built by the Ryder family. But the level stays high because the water is tranquil. It doesn't flow. And it doesn't flow anywhere but on the low points of the brook shore because it's got nowhere to go and it's got no way to get there. Now, my backyard is about 8/10 of a mile from that culvert. In that distance, there is an elevation change of as little as 1 foot. Think about that. Traveling 4,000 feet to get a change in elevation of a foot. That change in elevation further limits the flow as being extremely gradual. But the flow at the culvert that we saw on these photographs and that were shown tonight is still plentiful, indicating that there is water reaching the culvert from higher elevations along Star Ridge Road and coming down Cobb Road, and also in the wetlands north of the outlet. There may also be additional flow at the culvert from the sewage treatment plant. What I do know from actual observation is that the water is not reaching Cobb Road from Peach Lake, which is why the lake level remains high. Peach Lake Brook, from a satellite view, appears to be a straight line, unlike a watercourse with natural contours. That suggests the brook might have been created through the wetlands north of Peach Lake many, many years ago. If that straight line were a clear pipe, water would flow from the lake to the culvert, like water through any other pipe. Any pipe that we've ever seen, water through a hose, go right through it. However, if a portion of that pipe, that brook, were obstructed, flow would be affected. It's that simple. While it is possible that other obstructions along the brook are affecting the flow, that does not appear to be the case based on the current flow at the culvert. There is water getting to the culvert, but it's not coming from the lake. The restriction is at the outlet and at the southern end of Peach Lake Brook. A claim that the present culvert is of insufficient size, causing the water to back up, is at best speculation. Nothing has caused the culvert to be ineffective. There are no developmental changes on that brook in the last 30 years that have increased the flow at the culvert, with the possible exception of the sewage treatment plant. Any flooding near the culvert is the result of water spreading from the edge of the brook because the level has risen and the flow from the lake is obstructed. It used to be in my backyard that it would dry out by May, and you could actually use the lower part of the backyard come middle of May, maybe Memorial Day. Now it's August. That section of my backyard looks like a rice paddy. Water's got nowhere to go. And it's just something that we deal with. These observations lead to the conclusion that the changes to the culvert will have no effect on the level, condition, or quality of Peach Lake. It would be a mistake to believe otherwise. You're all welcome to visit the property and make your own observations. I don't know if any of the people doing the study that you spoke of were ever there or ever made those observations. The issues affecting Peach Lake and Peach Lake Brook are unrelated to the issue of closing Cobb Road, and they should not be used as an excuse for that action. And I think the closing of Cobb Road is an incomplete effort to address a growing traffic problem, a problem that is not limited to Cobb Road. The use of GPS technology, as has been said this evening, has made Cobb Road an attractive alternative. And I feel based on the stories I've heard from Mr. Fucito, Mr. O'Rourke, and others who have experienced that tremendous flow of traffic. I don't know how I would react to it, to be quite honest with you. But I too have seen the traffic increase every morning when I drive down Star Ridge Road to Route 6, every evening when I come back up. Evenings when if I come across 312 and take the exit 10 is backed up onto 684 at times. This is not simply a Cobb Road issue, a Cobb Road traffic issue. This is an issue that is much greater than that, and it's going to require much more than just closing Cobb Road, because as I said earlier, you close Cobb Road and you force that traffic onto Star Ridge, you force that traffic onto Route 6, and you don't have a traffic pattern that can handle it. Maybe the state DOT is dragging their feet on the use of signals at the intersection, but I know how difficult it is to make a left turn from Star Ridge Road onto Route 6 in the morning. And I also know it now will take often 2 sequences of light changes to get to the entrance to 680, to the light at 684 entrance from Route 6. So the traffic is not going to improve by closing Cobb Road. All it's going to do is move it elsewhere. And I'm reminded of an old Abbott and Costello comedy routine where I think Bud Abbott said to Lou Costello that he's going to solve New York City's traffic problems. And he's asked, how do you do that? He says, I make all the signs one way. He says, then what? Then it's New Jersey's problem. That's what we're dealing with. It's an old joke. I saw it on TV a long time ago. Others have spoken about the closing of Cobb Road and its impact on emergency vehicles. I'm not going to repeat that. I appreciate the time you've all given me. I appreciate the listening that you've done. And I just hope that we can get this study out and available and on for further discussion before decisions are made. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Claire Harding Keefe. I live at 51 Cobb Road, essentially the midpoint of Cobb Road, and 2 properties away from the planned closure. And I say planned closure because the presentation tonight very much sounded that way. And that's somewhat upsetting to me as a resident working from home essentially for the last year and a half at that intersection and seeing the increasing traffic and being upset by that. And I really appreciate the remarks that preceded me and would love to see them also on the website, because it seems to me that we are confusing 2 issues here. And I'm not sure why they are joined. We talk about the culvert, and it sounded like there was a lot more science explained in the speaker before me than in anyone on the panel in front of me. And I too was going to ask for this study. I live right there. I see a trickle of water go through there. It doesn't seem like that is the issue. And to present that as the issue of tonight's hearing, when you all on the presentation, it was all about the traffic. And I walk on that road almost every day. I sit in my office on that corner. I see the tractor trailers. I see the backups. But I'm not convinced that this project is addressing that. I think it is just redirecting it. It is incredibly dangerous at Route 6 near the Dunkin' Donuts. Going on from 121 onto Route 6 with the flashing light is equally as dangerous. And you're just going to increase traffic in those areas without any fixes. If we're talking about traffic, I've seen no one from law enforcement in almost a year. I've made calls about the traffic, and they tell me that they don't have the resources to send someone out. They're on other calls, and I appreciate that. But there was a time about a year ago that there was much more enforcement. They were pulling people over, and it made a difference. There has been almost no enforcement in the last year. You put up a sign that says no through traffic, it means nothing if there is no enforcement.
Just so we have contacted the sheriffs. I know I have, I think other members of the board, for asking for enforcement, and we have not been able to get it either.
Okay, I appreciate that. I've been in this property for 2 years. It was my in-laws for 20 some odd years before that, and their parents before that. I remember when it was a dirt road, when I was dating my husband, whose property I married into. I think there are other alternatives that aren't being explored. I think it's really easy and cost-effective to say, just close it. I think we could consider a one-lane road. Thank you, and I applaud you for working with Waze and Google Maps to reduce that. I have seen a reduction of late. But I just really think that exploring other options, it really sounded like a done deal tonight, which is upsetting to me because the first I've heard about it was when I got a notice a week ago. We can do some fundraising. We can talk about other ways to address this problem. I recognize that price tag is expensive. But I do think that we're just going to be creating traffic issues other areas, and I don't know that it's actually having any impact on, and I'd like to see the study. That I think that should be posted. Thank you.
Can I ask one question? Would you be agreeable to because one of the options we were thinking of was one way, but that would still create a problem because the people that are interested in going around it's the way it is proposed. Instead of one way, it'd be two ways: in, out on this side, in, out on the other side. And one of the thoughts were, at least what I had thought about, was to have it one way, but it's going to create a problem, either on one end or the other end.
Right.
So you're not going to gain anything by a one way.
I'd have to think more about that, but I think the idea of other options is a good one. I don't think that they have been thoroughly explored yet.
Well, unfortunately, there's not many options. And I've been, again, working with Warren Lucas and town engineer, and on our side, we don't believe that doing anything with that culvert is going to be beneficial. That's one of the reasons it's taken as long as it has to get to the table here, because I don't think it, like Victor said, Mr. Grossman, it went 1 foot from one end to the other, and that's nothing. We know it's clogged, and that's an option that's down the road. Cost-wise, I have no idea. And there are other. We'll post as much information as we can because there's different studies. We have the Peach people, Peach Decide, okay? They have comment. We have people from Vales that have made comment. We'll put it all on there. There are different studies. It's not an easy thing, but one way was one thought, but we didn't think that would work. And I'm telling you now, when they told me that, the culvert, we have many roads in this town. We just finished Welfare Road culvert. these culverts are aging out. It's not just this one, but there's many of them, and we address them as we can. There's a limited amount of funds that we have available. We do apply for grants, not very successful. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that, you know, we as political end deal with that we don't see, can't give every bit of information. I mean, I could have been a lot more elaborate in the meeting, and it may have been taken 2 hours for me just to make a presentation. But there's a lot being done.
I think
that's
maybe
not
earlier
visible.
in the process, that we're being brought in so late is a little difficult,
but
at least for
You know, I think
myself.
For the town board, this thing of, you know, not replacing the road is brand new. There's been talk about working on the culvert's failing. It needs to be replaced like many other culverts around town.
And that was one of my initial points, that I don't know that these two issues need to coincide.
They do and they don't. They do in the fact that we have to replace the culvert. So we thought, while we're replacing the culvert, to put the issue about the traffic, which has really come to the forefront probably in the past 9 months. It's become a big issue. Prior to that, it wasn't as much of an issue, but it's become a big issue in the past 9 months. So they kind of perfect storm, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Neil Platt. I live at 109 Cobb Road. Been there for 35 years. And during that time, I've seen it go from a small dirt road, probably 1 1/4 lanes wide, to what it is today. 35 years ago, nobody used that road but the people that lived on Cobb Road and maybe the people on Friendly. So after hearing all of this, I don't think there's any argument that we have a traffic and safety problem on that road. And whether you want to combine it with the culvert issue or not, we have a problem. And you can look at it as a separate problem. If there's a problem down at the intersection of Route 6 and Star Ridge, so be it, address that. But that does not minimize the problem that we have on Cobb Road, so they don't necessarily have to be combined as one issue. As far as the buses go, each of those, from Cobb Road East, you go right around into that development on St. James, and they're in and out, perfect circle. If you're on Cobb Road West, same thing, Friendly Road, right around, you got a perfect circle. There is no bus issue. As far as a safety issue, I think we have a greater issue with the cars backed up on Cobb Road, where if I needed an EMT to get into my driveway coming from Danbury, as suggested, they can't get there. They cannot get into my driveway with the cars backed up. So there's a bigger safety issue by not addressing the traffic on Cobb Road. There's no doubt that we need to address this issue. This sounds like a very satisfactory way to do it, and I urge you to move forward with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Donna Doherty. I live at 127 Cobb Road. I'm actually the picture you showed with the tractor trailer on the house across the street. So I see this daily. I'm only the second house in from 121. The same way the gentleman mentioned, he hears screeching brakes at the top when they're going from Cobb onto Star Ridge. Well, when they're all backed up like that, and sometimes it goes straight through all the way to Star Ridge, it's because they're all coming down way more than 55 miles an hour on 121. So now you're sitting there and they want to make a left. So when you said before that it's not that difficult to go the extra 2.5 minutes, you're right, but it's extremely difficult. And you said it had 2 egresses, but both St. James and Cobb go onto 121. Now you're going to redirect that traffic. They're either going to go down 121 or they're going to go down Bloomer and come Bloomer to 121. So now we already have all the people coming from Ridgefield and that enter that you can't pull out and make the left turn because they're zooming at you. So now you're going to send more because, like you said, they come across, they go to Bloomer, they go 121, or they might just stay on Bloomer and come down, Star, I'm getting myself confused. They come down Star, but they go through Bloomer to the other side to where the Hayfield Cafe is and go down to get on the highway. Now, it's gonna be harder to get out Cobb Road, because they're both going out onto, you've cut off our only other way out. I've lived there 25 years, and I have seen horrific accidents in front of Lisi's Towing, horrific. I have been cut off there. I see red lights blown through daily, practically. I mean, it's horrific, I'm not denying that. But I will take that over making the left out of my Cobb Road to the blinking light. Because not only that, I have to pass the 2 entrance and exit ramps from 84 as you're going down to the blinking light. Well, people there, you know what they do when they turn on and they see traffic? They back up right onto you. So you're coming down and there's a car all of a sudden backing up off the entrance ramp because they don't want to get on. So you have that problem there. Now you get down to the next, you have the people coming off. Well, they're in a rush to get to Cobb Road, so they want to get to work. So they cut in front of you as you're going down the hill. Okay, now we added a hotel. I got people that are like, oh wait, this is my hotel, and they jam on their brakes and they stop because there's people coming up. And now you're at a dead stop waiting for them to turn into the new hotel. Well, now if you make it through all that, you get down to the next road. Now you have 2 lanes of traffic coming at you at 55 on a good day, much faster, and they're full. There's 2 lanes of traffic because they don't want to get on 84. So they're going to take this nice road that goes right alongside. So now you have to cross, if you want to go anywhere west, you're forced to turn left out of Cobb or left out of St. James. You're forced to deal with the on and off ramp, the hotel, to get to the blinking light. So now I got a 20-year-old who's been in an accident and is scared to death to make a left. And now he's legitimately so will not go there. He as well goes up, we go up to Star Ridge, and I will face that terrible intersection and all the cars coming out of Dunkin' Donuts. They know to go, they go so slow there. We wait till every car is clear before we'll cross. But imagine what it is when you're standing at the blinking light. Now you got all the people behind you too, not that I care about them honking at you because you're not cutting out fast enough. And so now you have to pull across 2 lanes coming at you this way to get into a 3rd lane, 3rd and 4th, because they cut each other off there too, that are also going 50-something miles an hour, if you're lucky. Now we're adding a warehouse, so you're gonna have much more traffic, and we're sitting at a blinking light. So when you cut off Cobb Road, you cut off my exit, my kid's exit, and I agree. We turn in our driveway, a 50-point U-turn. We don't back out of that driveway. I agree, something has to be done, but I implore you that closing the road be the last resort, not the first try. I mean, it's deadly, absolutely deadly. You can't get your mail. I have gotten my mail and felt the wind go by. I mean, they don't even look, they're on their phone. Everything they're saying is absolutely true. But think about what you do to the people on the, I guess we're the east side. You're forcing us. Yes, you said 2 egresses. That's all they need. You said only 2.5 minutes more. It's a convenience thing, not a safety. It is a safety because you're forcing me out onto that road, which Nichols is right across too. So if somebody's trying to get off there, try that when they're whizzing at you, okay? And then you got all the people behind you, and that's why they're backed up, because they can't get off Cobb. If it was easy and they were just going through, it would still be a problem with them all going through, but they wouldn't be backed up like the picture you see. Because you can't get out there and you're making a left. So I think it is a dangerous situation to eliminate me being able to take a left out of my driveway, go up to 121, get down to the traffic light. Now, like they're saying, address the traffic light, that's its own situation at Dunkin' Donuts. But at least I have a light. Where the blinking light, I don't know if that can be addressed, but don't forget, you got the on and off 84. They are all cutting in and off there. I mean, it's a really dangerous stretch of road to go from Cobb Road to get on to 6 going west. It really is. So that's my issue there. I did think about the emergency vehicles, but we said that. Thank you for calling the GPS, taking us off of that. Is there any way that you can close off the entrance and exit ramp to 84? Because to me that sounds like it would solve the whole problem. I mean, why do we have it there anyhow? Why can't they just go down to the main intersection? Why, if we close the on and off ramp there, most of your problems on 121, everywhere else, Bloomer, everything's solved. So to me, I think closing, like they're saying, you're just moving the traffic. You're just moving the pieces on the board. You're not solving the traffic problem. They want to get to 84. Close it off. Now they can't. So that's one of my answers, that, you know, yeah, the blinking light, if it does come to where they decide they're gonna close Cobb, is that something you can address later? I don't know how this stuff works.
As far as what do you mean?
The blinking light needs to be a real light.
We've been trying to address it for 3 years.
I know, but you've been trying and no one's listening to you. But when my kid is dead because he gets T-boned by a car,
And you can sue New York
it's
State.
not gonna make me feel any better.
So I spoke to, there's a lady, I can't think of her last name right now. Her first name's Lisa at the New York State DOT, and I wound up calling.
Mandela.
Was it?
Mandela.
Mandela. I called her today. As Tony mentioned, we had reached out to them like 2 years ago to do traffic studies at both those intersections, Star Ridge and 121. I agree with you, 121, it's a bad intersection. My in-laws live there, and you know, we pick up my daughter there every day. I've dealt with it. I don't disagree. So I believe they postponed the study due to COVID because they didn't want to do a traffic study with low traffic counts. And I spoke to her today, and it's they are planning to do the traffic study for that too, and we have requested formally 2 years ago for them to put a full traffic signal in.
Okay, but until you can get an answer to that, right, and it's just gonna be a blinking light, by closing Cobb Road, you're now forcing more traffic there. I really think just closing the on and off ramp is the answer, but you know, I don't know how that works. Then no one's brought up the fact that you're gonna have a dead end where there's a town-owned house, no one lives there. And I feel like you might be inviting some trouble to brew there.
That's
Just saying, having a dead end brings
that's the Putnam.
hangouts and.
That's a land trust that owns that. Not
Yes.
the town.
Yeah, well, okay. So I'm just saying, there's not even a house that people are, you know, I'm just saying that could be a problem. I also had some other solutions that I'm just gonna throw out there. Why don't we put it back to the dirt road it was 25 years ago when I moved there? I loved my dirt road, kept the traffic down. I don't think a tractor trailer is gonna come down the dirt road because it was very bumpy. You could not speed, which is why you paved it, but put it back. One way. How about gates like they put on private roads? So you gotta go around to get in and out, make it inconvenient. Speed bumps, you said, are no good, but I don't know. I'm no engineer, there's gotta be something. Local police, how about cameras? I mean, why can't we put a camera there like they do at the traffic lights? When you go through the traffic lights, you get a ticket in the mail because you went through the traffic light. Every Connecticut plate, Massachusetts plate, Florida plate, I can name them all, Jersey, that come through hourly, minutely, would all get a ticket. I bet you that camera would be paid for in a week, and you'd have a lot of money to fix your other issues, because it's not even really funny. I'm saying it that way, but there is such an amount of cars. It's not the people living on Star Ridge that are coming down that we're worried about, it's everybody else. And put a camera there, take their license plate and send them a ticket. Put a sign that says it's monitored by camera, we're gonna ticket you. Because I understand the cops can't be there all the time, although I will give them my driveway, I will feed them, everything. They can sit right there and just stop them one at a time. And they don't even have to stop them because they back up, they can just give out the tickets. I mean, and that has stopped. They came for a little while, once the street signs went up, no cops, none. And believe me, I watched, because I got two 20-year-olds and I was afraid we might be speeding down the road too. So I wanted to make sure, you know, I knew. The cops are not there. They're not. They put the signs up and they ended. So that's what I actually said, that you could ticket them for coming through the street and you could ticket them for speeding, because you'll get them on both. Then I talked about the traffic light, please, if it's blinking, because you leave that to me to turn left into that, and like there's more businesses besides the warehouse, right, that are going up on Route 6. So now you're gonna have tractor trailers or box cars at the
There'll be a
least.
red light at that intersection.
Where the blink is?
No, where...
Well, what I'm saying, they're still gotta come past that blinking light, so
Yeah,
we
I've been
can't
telling
get
you,
out.
There's gonna be a new light at the intersection of where that building is located.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a light there.
Okay, but that doesn't help
Doesn't
us
help.
trying to get across the lane.
Ma'am, I mean, people must believe we don't try to do anything here. We are limited, we try.
No, I do. No, you're
but-
misunderstanding me if that's what you're hearing. I do know you're trying, but that's what I'm saying. You're limited. So but you're not limited to closing Cobb Road. But once you close Cobb Road, I am destined to, if I want to go west, I have to go through a blinking light because they're not working with you. I'm not saying you're not, I'm saying they're not. But when you do it, it leaves you no choice. You can't go in the next day and put a traffic light. That's what you're telling me. So it's actually out of your hands, but you're creating more traffic. And those cars are gonna come across Bloomer and they're gonna come down and you're gonna have them now, all those other cars trying to get through that blinking light. It's a very, you know, and like I said, you got the on-off, the hotel, and then that. I mean, I personally, I do. 25 years, better part of it, I go to the light before Dunkin' Donuts, and now even with Dunkin' Donuts. Is there any way you could put a cut through at the end of Peach Brook that would cut us through to Friendly, and don't put it on a map?
Oh,
and then we could just get out?
Well, then we'll have the people from Friendly making comment to that, so that
It
doesn't
would be
seem
another
feasible.
bridge.
It would what?
There would have to be a longer bridge built.
There's wet, it's wet there? Is
Oh,
that
yeah.
why?
Well, the water flows, yes.
Well, that's a shame, because then we could have cut through. So anyhow, I just implore you that, yes, the situation has to be addressed. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know anything about the water part, but the traffic part needs to be addressed. And please don't just move the pieces to solve that one problem and forget the people on the east side of Cobb Road and St. James and all those that have no choice now but to make a left and go through all of that and wind up at the blinking light, which the traffic is going to increase because of what we're building. And if you're gonna put a traffic light there, I wouldn't even bet that it'll all back up and they won't even be able to get across. So I just implore you to look at the whole picture and realize that doing that limits us, and left turns are dangerous. So anyhow, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I live at the first house at Star Ridge and...
Your last name, ma'am?
Not Star Ridge, Benvenuto, 140 Cobb. We're right on the corner of Cobb and 121. And all those screeching noises, I hear them all the time, all day long. They turn in my driveway all times, days and nights, because they come off of 684, they think they're going to town left. They come as far as the edge of Cobb, realize that that's not the way to town, use my driveway to turn around and come back to go towards Route 6. So I've paved my driveways more times than I can think of, not to mention I wonder about Cobb Road and how much it would save the town to not have to pave it with all that traffic running on it all the time. Which is to say, I kind of like this idea of having the road cut in two. And if not cars, they leave garbage all over the edge of that corner. I have bottles and bags and all kinds of stuff all the time. And I have to back into my driveway because my chances of exiting my driveway on a Friday night is miserable. I don't even mean to get this emotional, but it's just terrifying how much, and I have 2 kids that I refuse to let play in front of my house because there are so many strangers in out-of-state license plates driving along Cobb Road, which is such a narrow, tiny road, and I tell them to go into the back because I don't want strangers to be talking to them every time they play in the front yard. People coming over, can you sell us water? I mean, they ask absurd questions. And it's just very scary. I can't ask them to get the mail because people whip around the corner and they're going to get hit. We don't have dogs, but we walk dogs. And when we do walk the dogs, we walk them in my backyard because we're afraid to walk up and down Cobb Road. What else can I tell you about? I guess that's it. I leave you with the words of Robert Frost, that road not taken, it is not Cobb Road.
Hi, my name is Dan Chalice. I live at 84 Cobb Road. That's the house that Alan Messing had, which is on the corner of Peachbrook. I've lived there since the late 90s, so a little over 20 years. I'd like to start by thanking the board and, in fact, also the Sheriff's Department for the enforcement they have done and for the signs that have been put up. I think that's all been helpful, but obviously it's not enough. Everybody else has talked about things like the litter, the noise, many complaints, and I'd like to echo all of those. I would add my own story is that and it's funny because the lady before me brought this up, I will not walk our dog down to the nature reserve because that traffic is so dangerous. I have to walk him around the yard. It's just insane. The other concern I've got, which I don't think anyone brought up, is Amazon deliveries now. I don't know whether you guys know this, but Amazon are actually told they're not supposed to be reversing their delivery vans, the drivers. And so, which makes sense because who'd want to reverse out onto Cobb Road? So instead, they park in the street while they're doing deliveries, and they're stopped there. And you imagine one of these big juggernauts trying to get past it. When that's stopped there, it just brings everything to a complete halt. So there's more and more Amazon deliveries every year. I think that's a real concern for the future. One thing I would say about the water issues, this is the 3-foot pipe we have at the moment. That's going to be replaced by, if they do the footbridge, maybe a 20-foot pipe. Eventually, you're probably going to have to dredge that exit from Peach Lake and the drop down to the reservoir of that watercourse. When you do that, I'd much rather it was trying to flow through a 20-foot wide gap than a 3-foot wide gap, regardless of the issues at the moment. I think when you further investigate that, all the stories about it not being related will turn out once you get rid of the silt, you'll need a wider pipe there.
Sir, it will be. It'll be 20 foot. Mike, how big is the pipe going to be in the new one?
It's going to be 20 feet. The span is 20 feet, so it would be a bottomless. Basically, it's going to be a bridge. It's
okay.
Going to be New York State DEC will not allow us to use culverts and that big.
So that will turn to 20 feet regardless of what we do.
Okay, so it fixes the problem either way.
Yes,
but
that portion.
I'd much rather have the problem fixed for 300,000 than I would for 1 point, goodness knows whatever million it is by the time you've dealt with the silt issue and the rest of it. So I'm pleased to hear about the cost saving. I think that's great. So I'd like to wholeheartedly support this scheme. I would like to invite the residents of Friendly to think about how things would be if we closed the top of Cobb Road, where there's a dangerous intersection we've all agreed on, Starridge and Cobb Road. We put a barrier across there for a few months, and you guys see all that traffic flowing up Friendly and see how you like it.
Hi, my name is Narissa DiBartolo. I live at 81 Cobb Road. I live actually where this is, right across from Peachbrook. So I watch everyone all day long as they've been, surveying, and I see the police across the street when they're trying to catch people. I just had 2 questions. I think it's pretty obvious. We know there's a lot of traffic. I know there's litter. I work from home. My front window faces Cobb Road, so I see trucks and tractor trailers all day long. I just had 2 questions. The $100,000 grant that you said you received towards the $1.2 million to replace it,
yes.
Would that grant then be used for the footbridge if we decided to do that? Would that same money be used towards that, or?
The grant money we have is probably already spent because we've already spent $65,000. I think it's $65,000 to date doing all the studies to get this done.
Okay. So is the $1.2 million still on top of that $100,000 grant that's been received?
If the bridge or the culvert gets built, it's around the $1.2 million that we've applied for a grant.
Okay.
No guarantee. We'll find
no
out
guarantee.
by
okay.
October, maybe.
Right. The second question that I have is just due to the fact that there's so many people are traveling, and regardless with Waze, which is great, but everyone knows it, who lives local. My just question is, if you're coming down Cobb Road, and where the land trust is, and someone doesn't realize that there's a barricade or a stop or whatnot, what's going to be in place just for turnarounds? Just because, like, on my side, okay. I'm actually, this footbridge, or if we decide not to go through, is literally going to be right in front of my house. So I know if people are coming down from 121, they're going to turn around on Peachbrook right in front of my house. People use my circular driveway all the time as well. I'm just curious, what's going to happen if someone comes down where the land trust is? How are people going to turn around because it's so narrow?
Yeah, so we have there's a little bump out here on town property. So they would essentially come in. They can pull in here, back up and then go out. Is that the side you were talking about?
Where the land trust is. I mean, it's so small and
the-
narrow. I just don't know how you'd be able to
So,
redirect
so
turnarounds.
here's the land, this is the land trust house. So here, this is the road, I don't know if you could see that. So this would be kind of paved here, or something would be put down, so that they can pull here left, back out and go up. And then on your side, what the supervisor said is, because I think you live here, right?
I do. I live at 81, so I'm
it'll
right
be-
across from Peach.
So it'll be
Brook.
closed back here. This is the culvert right now.
Right.
So it'll be closed back here, so the traffic would, I guess they could pull in here, back up and go around, or else they could just go this way out. But it will be marked, I guess it would be marked, dead end.
You wouldn't have anything on your end because there's not a need because the flow of traffic, but coming in from Cobb,
No, it's just this is, everyone travels down there, so I'm just
No, but
wondering what's going to happen with people who have to turn around if we do decide.
Okay, for coming in from Star Ridge Road,
Right,
and you come down, right at where Friendly comes in Cobb, there'll be a sign there saying dead end. Now, can people travel down there? But it says dead end, so they shouldn't go there unless they know the people. There's only 3 houses with driveways on there. We have the land trust. One of the other gentlemen spoke that his driveway's there, and the other gentleman I've been trying to get a hold of, but he didn't respond to the mail we sent out, and he can't be found because he's got a gate.
Oh, the red house.
Yeah.
On the other side.
It's very well kept, but you can't get,
Well,
sent
just
letters.
recently, it's been well kept, but yes.
But anyway,
right.
so the bottom line, there'll be a dead end. So if a person goes into a dead end, there's an area there to go. So how many people go into a dead end? I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying in the beginning, it's probably going to cause a lot of issues. I'm just saying, even if you post it, because people travel all day long,
Yeah.
just having like turnarounds.
Just to be clear, your concern is on this side.
Well, I'm just like concerned in general because people fly up and down that road all day long. And regardless of what you guys decide, if we put in a footbridge or path, people are gonna have to be redirected at least for like a period of time. And I'm just concerned about traffic congestion in front of my house with now I have people turning around over and over and over again, when they don't realize that the road's closed.
But
It's gonna be right in front of my house.
I think once they get the message, or if there's ever a message to be given, whether it happens or it doesn't happen, if it happens and they get the message, trust me, they're not gonna be coming down there.
But are you
very
gonna put
often.
signs like at the beginning of the road, dead end, don't go through?
Yes. No through traffic. Well, it says that now too, but it will say dead end as well.
Yeah, obviously, and down at the end. And then you're not sure if there'll be any grant money towards doing the footbridge or anything like that?
No. The footbridge is approximately $30,000. We thought it'd be a nice thing to have there, because we know people like to walk their dog and walk that area. It's nothing like the $2.1 million the county spent down at the other bridge down by Lecter's Own Field. But if walking bridge was considered, and if everyone's upset that we're gonna spend $30,000 on a walking bridge, I suppose we could take a collection up from the neighbors if they wanted, but I don't think it's a big expense on that sense. But the difference between the two, I think $900,000 is substantial. We've heard a lot of interesting things tonight, and we have things to think about.
Great, thank you, appreciate
you.
it, thank you.
Could I ask a question?
If we come up to the mic, please.
It was on the comment that you just made when you were pointing out the turnaround area.
And my question is why, when this lovely young lady was speaking, you pointed out on the map that there'll be this paved area for a turnaround.
Well, yeah, I don't know if.
What is the purpose? Why are you doing that?
Where are you talking about?
Right here.
Yeah.
I talked about this, right?
Yes,
Isn't
you
that
did.
a bump out?
And I'm saying, why is there a paved turnaround
I don't know
area?
if it's gonna be paved, I said that, I may have misspoke, but.
Whether it's paved or not, when the town plows that road, or someone comes in that accidentally and has to turn around, we made that so they have to turn around in the landmarks property.
Okay, so that would be the purpose of you having a turnaround for plowing
Back up and someone making a wrong turn.
and somebody making a wrong turn. So we're anticipating that'll be an issue already.
Okay, I get it.
I guess so. Thank you.
Very, very quick, I don't know if we've also considered the fact that when people are coming from Connecticut to New York, right? They're getting off that exit for a reason, and it's not to go to the hotel. They're getting off that exit. What reason would be to get off that exit? 9 o'clock in the morning, you're going to Connecticut, and you live somewhere south. You're getting off that exit to make the left to get onto Cobb Road. If that road is closed, why would they get off the exit? They would stay on the highway and go to the Cloverleaf and use the Cloverleaf like it was built for, right? I don't know if that makes sense. Wouldn't it stop the traffic from Connecticut getting off that exit?
It might.
Why would they get off?
Well,
Take 121.
Huh?
Take 121 to Bloomer.
121 to Bloomer, yeah, they could do that.
Yeah.
That road's made for that.
That's why I said close off.
That road's made for that.
Yes.
But they're getting off that road for a shortcut. There's a reason why they're getting off that road, and a lot of it is to get up Cobb Road. Right or wrong? That's all I wanted to say.
Mr. Burdick, I believe, made the statement that Cobb Road is only 20 feet wide
at the max, yes.
and that the town doesn't have any means of widening the road because they don't own the property, it's for private property. So how would you propose to make a turnaround at the end? I don't
Right
understand.
where it is, because we own that part of the property.
You own, oh.
We own that. We were using the town's right-of-way as the turn.
Oh, so to the north of Cobb Road, that's town property, you're saying?
Wait, when you say no. We're, right where that
If you're
thing-
coming down on the left side, you own that. So you could widen the road there.
Just there.
Only, yeah, but it would serve any purpose why they're there.
I'm sorry?
Cobb
No,
Road-
you could widen the road there to make a turnaround, is my point.
Yeah.
Because you own, the town owns that land.
Right.
Okay.
The land trust owns right up to the road on the other side of the road, the stone wall there.
Yes.
We own about that much between the stone wall and the current road. On the other side, we have 18 feet.
Okay, that's the answer.
Which we-
So you could make a turnaround.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to try to wrap this up. If anyone has not spoken that would like to speak?
Tom, I would just like to make one more comment. I don't really want to upset anybody, but I got a notice from New York State DOT, they are going to be closing 121 in the summer of 2022. And they are going to be sending the traffic down Bloomer Road to Star Ridge. That's going to be the detour.
Oh, my God.
So,
And how long,
yeah.
how long is it going to be?
And it's they're saying, which I find it hard to believe because I've done these construction projects, they're saying that it's going to, the estimated time frame is going to be 2 to 3 weeks. I think it's probably going to be more like a month, maybe longer.
Is that because of the culvert?
Yeah, there's a culvert down by Peaches Gardens that's failed, and New York State DOT has already contacted me. The detour route is going to be going down Bloomer Road to Star Ridge. So they, more than likely, people that know the area, the people will be, cutting up Cobb. And then one other thing I wanted to address as far as culvert replacements, just so people understand, New York State DOT, DEC does not allow us to replace culverts that are in a water course with a pipe anymore. Now these have to be concrete structures. They have to have natural stream bed material for the fish and frogs and whatever, or they have to have no bottom at all. So it's not, it's not that it's lack of maintenance that these culverts has failed. It's the amount of money, it's an exorbitant amount of money to replace these things. So, this is the Cobb Road one is one that's on the list. We did one on Welfare Road, and there's several more in town, but they're, millions of dollars to get this stuff done. So, it's not that we don't want to that we're not going to do the maintenance on them. It's just that we can't just replace the pipe. When a pipe fails, when it's got in a water course, we're not allowed to just replace the pipe. We have to go through DEC, Army Corps of Engineers, DEP. It's a, it's a process. The one on Welfare Road started in 2016, and we just finished it this year. So it's, that's how long this process takes. So I didn't want to give you the bad news about next year, but
Okay.
next summer is going to come. They're going to.
Anyone that has not spoken?
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, we're not going to be closing the public. Go ahead.
Michelle Horowitz, I live in Storage Manor.
I couldn't hear you.
Michelle Horowitz from Storage Manor. My concern is that right now you're telling us that this is a private road, that those of us who are paying taxes in this county, in this town, are not allowed to use Cobb Road.
It's been requested, it's posted as no through.
But I am local. I live right off of
Not
there.
according to the way. the
Well,
signs are posted.
then we should take this road off of the tax rolls. But we can't because it is in fact a public road that all of us pay taxes for.
We asked the sheriff to provide more enforcement on Cobb Road a couple of years ago, and and for the reason that we were getting so much out-of-state traffic on that road, and his suggestion to make their life easier so that they would have good reason to stop a car from out of state was to put on no through traffic. It wasn't meant to limit Cobb Road to...
But you just told me
I'm sorry,
that it is.
I'm sorry.
You just told, your statement just said, no, you cannot use this road, you are not local.
I didn't say that.
Does that mean I'm gonna get a ticket if I go down that road?
I didn't say that. I'm trying to give you the background on no through traffic, okay? So the sheriff said it would make it easier for them to do enforcement if they had a no through traffic sign on Cobb Road. And that way, if someone is on that road with out-of-state plates, they could stop them and say, didn't you see the sign, no through traffic? And that would be a reason for them to stop them, in addition to speeding and other reasons. But it wasn't, that was the reason that we asked them to we put in no through traffic signs. I don't think anyone has been ticketed or summoned because they have, for being through traffic that is a local. So it was
Mr. Hay really did indicate that we are not entitled to use that road.
He said it could be done, but I'm just telling you.
People live in Star Ridge Manor have the luxury of only having one way in, one way out.
Yes, we do, but you can still drive around my neighborhood anytime you want to.
We realize that.
Anytime you want to come and drive around the whole neighborhood, every single person here is entitled to do that. And you don't pave that road either, by the way. But, I mean, but let's forget that. Why are there roads in the town of Southeast that you're saying we cannot drive on? What other road can't we drive on? Should I tell everybody on Cobb, don't you dare come into my neighborhood? Well, of course I'm not going to say that to them. They are entitled to use them. They're public roads. They are on the tax rolls. We should all be allowed to use it without worrying about whether or not I'm going to get a ticket when I go someplace.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
And yes, I also feel that this is fait accompli. You're going to close the road, you're going to make it a private road, and we're going to still have to pay for it. And yes, I very, very seriously resent that. And I know there's a big problem there, and it has to be addressed, but this is not how to do it.
We appreciate your comments. Okay, the public hearing is not. The public hearing. The public hearing is not closed. It'll be kept open for comments for the 10 days, and after that, there will be another meeting considering this at some time in the future. Now, for those of you, we normally do not have to send out notices like we did to the residents of Cobb Road because they're the most seriously affected. You have to read. Someone mentioned about the paper we use, that it's some whatever. It's been the town paper for probably well over 20 years. It's a free paper, so everybody have access. So if you don't have the money, you can get a free here, many places within the town. The town website, we beg people for years to go onto the town website, sign up for notices. You sign up for notices, you'll get them. We've done the best we can noticing, and we'll continue to do so. So I'll make a motion now at this point in time to leave the public hearing open for 10 additional days.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for coming. We are going to continue our meeting.
It's done. Thank you.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion for a 5-minute recess.
Second. Eric seconds. He wants to go now. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I make a motion to come out of the recess.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. First item, I'm going to make a motion to go into work session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
First item is just proposed changes to the sign law. We've had this out for a while. This revision was done most recently and put everything together. Will I know you had worked on this for a bit of time early on. Are you satisfied that this will resolve our issues with temporary signs?
It's a significant fix. And what I've been trying to do all along is to provide a even, with no exception, rule, this definition of temporary sign. I think this does that. I think the one complexity, which I wouldn't have had in my draft, is the process of getting a permit for every temporary sign. That's going to be a significant impact on the building department.
Well, that's something we don't necessarily have to do. I mean, I don't know if the need for a permit, but I think if they maybe consider that is a problem. And again, there's tons of signs. But I think the sign, if it's posted,
Just think in terms of, the political season.
Yep.
When people are going to be putting, signs out, you're going to have to have a permit for every one of those signs.
Well, you can have one permit and list the signs. That's what they did in the old days.
May I ask a question?
Yep.
So in relation to any sign that's going out, if it's on private property,
We don't care.
is that what the
All
law
these have to
says?
be on private.
No.
Okay, so,
It can't be
but you
right away.
still need to get a permit for stuff that's placed on private property?
Correct. That's the way it's written.
Will, can you pull the mic over to you a little bit? Sorry.
So it's time, if we want to consider that change, then that's what we do now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So for instance, and you feel that the way this is written, this is not going to become a First Amendment issue at all?
Well, this is why it's
That's
written.
why it's here now, because
the way the lawsuits that have gone against this town was that the town had so many exemptions for certain types of temporary signs that the courts held that was a content-based restriction, therefore unconstitutional under First Amendment. So what this construct does, John, is make every temporary sign, any sign that's doesn't have a permit, essentially, and is intended not to be up for a lengthy period of time, is a temporary sign, regardless of whether it's a real estate broker sign or a sign, that says, take a left to go to Green Chimneys or something like that. And it was very difficult to come up with a concept as to make it as neutral as possible without going into great detail. And what I sensed was the courts had a problem with the detail that we had in our temporary sign code. So we took all the detail out, treat all temporary signs with a broad definition, and the part that I have a difficulty with, and I think it's going to be, and it's not because I think it's not legal, I think it is legal to require permits, but if you have a permit procedure for every temporary sign, you're going to have a full staff at the building department to handle this. And
especially in that season you mentioned.
Correct.
Well,
I mean,
what about
in general?
Does the permit have to be specific to the location?
Well, that's a good question. I don't have a specific answer for that, but it seems as though the way the temporary sign provisions are included in here, it would make me believe that you have to have a permit for each location.
Now, previously, before it was rewritten, when I got here, sign law, and before the lawsuit against the town, I read the code and obeyed by the code. I mean, after you've been, I guess, a seasoned politician, maybe you don't have to live up to the rules, but as a new guy, I went down to the building department and I had to submit all the locations, but I didn't have to get a permit for each location. I had one application and identified where my signs would be located. I didn't have to put my name on the back of them like it's requesting.
Yeah.
And
I was around here at the time that you were a new guy in politics, and I don't recall that there was a requirement that you had to get a permit for every
No, I didn't have, I had to get you had to identify every location you were putting a sign. It wasn't a permit.
Right.
You had to identify where you were posting them, but you could give one sheet and have.
Well,
but-
that's probably one of the reasons why that provision is no longer in the code, is because that singles out political signs to require, to have to go through certain gyrations that others don't have to go through.
Right. And then it got to the point where on Route 22, I remember a person running that had probably 20 signs up in front, like the state police, the property across the street there in that green area.
Yep.
Same exact sign, I mean, it was like, it's nuts. So as far as not going for a sign permit, I would have no problem having that removed. But, you know, and if people don't put their name on the back of the sign, there's a lot of new things going. There's the new paint store that's coming in town. They've got signs all over the roads around now. And, you know, they should come down immediately. They're in the right of ways. So I'd like to get
The reason
some.
why we haven't been doing that, because everything's been sort of held in abeyance until we figure out how to deal with the judicial determinations that have cost this town some money, and hopefully, if we're challenged again, we can pass judicial muster. So as soon as this is enacted, I would say go ahead, pull anything that's in the right of way, pull it down.
So right now, we'd see temporary signs needing a temporary sign permit. I would not have any problem striking that. So I would make that motion that we consider striking that from the sign code.
I would second.
Now, does anyone have a different opinion that?
Yeah, I think they should have sign permits. And I would think that, you know, a permit could be issued for, on a political sign, it could be issued for the content of one sign. And each sign could get a permit that could have a stamp. You know, the political party could get one stamp okaying all those signs.
Okay, but forget that part. All these people go out there and they put up signs about tag sales and this and that. The building department would be inundated with signs. And maybe many people will just not even obey.
Yeah.
And then we'll go out there and they're not even gonna have their name on the back of the sign. Who put it up?
I mean, having been an enforcement guy doing this.
You wanna come back?
Yeah, I know, right? I was pretty effective, wasn't I?
Yes, you were.
So, and I had to, and, you know, again, the restrictions at the time that I operated on with my colleagues, you know, they were in light of some of the previous town history, as well mentioned. So, I mean, I think having done the enforcement on that, obviously you have that particular season of signs that, you know, pop up. But you also have, and I think our problem is, it's the really, like, the ultra temporary signs. It's the tag sale that, you know, I put up for a weekend because I sold my house and I'm moving out of here. And guess what? I'm never going to collect that sign. That's the tag sale sign that you're going to see for 6 months.
And you're probably
have-
going to put it on in the right of way as well, which
yes,
is
correct.
gonna be
And
illegal
it's in the
to
public right of way. So that was quite a few of the ones that we were collecting. Others were, you know, the Irish Fest in a completely different jurisdiction, or Taco Fest or something in Dutchess County, or Irish Fest or Jamaican Fest in the city of Danbury or something. And it wasn't even, you know, endemic to the town at all. It was just an advertisement that people were paid to I guess, go put out, or volunteered to go put out, but they never came back and collected them all. Yeah. So a lot of that was litter. It was trash. It was a temporary sign that became litter. Okay, essentially. So that was really the I think one of the biggest problems that we had, or one of the biggest enforcement issues that we were dealing with. And then, I mean, the political signs, I'm just worried about getting, you know, brushing up against the First Amendment rights or something, especially on private property.
That's why we're not singling out political signs. It's all temporary signs. There's no
right, but I could imagine if someone just wanted to put, like, you know, the Flat Earth Society on their lawn,
That's fine.
Well, if they put it on their, if they put it on their lawn, I don't think anybody's
And
gonna.
say, you know what, I'm not getting a permit for it, you know, bring me to court. And
Well,
let's
that's
see
what
happens.
we're saying, temporary signs, I don't think should be required to be permitted.
So anyone could just leave that temporary sign up on their property for
No.
however
As
long
long
they
as
want?
as long as it's their property.
It becomes, it
45 days.
becomes an enforcement issue, but if it's on private property, it's their private property.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons why we're making it very clear that if you have a temporary sign of any kind, it's gotta be on somebody's property.
Cool.
It can't be in
can't
the
be in
public
the
right
right
of way, it can't be stuck to a tree, it can't be nailed to a telephone pole.
Well, the converse would, so there's no way to get a permit for a sign in a public right of way, so,
No.
right? Okay.
No, there should not be.
Right,
No.
and I agree with that.
So anything that's on the road should just be picked up right away by
And
code enforcement?
I think that, I'm not sure whether it's in this construct or not, I can't seem to find it, but there was language, I thought at one time, that said if, you know, if illegal sign, if a sign is in violation of this code, it is considered litter and can be removed summarily.
The other thing I saw was it has to be 15 feet from the roadway.
And that's an estimated area based on.
Based on what a general
generic,
right-of-way.
because some might be 12 feet, certain areas it's like 25 feet. So if you have a road 15 feet, now we may or may not be wrong, someone challenges it, well, it may be on their property, but unless they come down and submit a survey where it's gonna go, you still got the problem. So we've made 15 feet as a generic from the white line, not so much where, I don't know if it's where the pavement ends, but.
From the curb, it says.
Edge of the curb, but sometimes there's no, what's a curb? A
Right.
curb is a curb, so it should not say the curb, the edge of the pavement. It's the curb. And so, but now you're gonna say what happens on a dirt road, at the end of the dirt before there's weeds.
Okay, so it has to be 15 feet off the road, basically.
Or do we want to define it as the standard 25 feet from the center line of the roadway? Because you even have variations, as we discussed in the previous part of the meeting, that this road's only 20 feet wide.
Well, but if it's 20 feet wide and 15 feet, it'd probably be on private property, we won't have to worry about it. And the road we were just speaking of, there's no place to really put it, it'd be on private property.
Right.
So I would just say we remove edge of curb and just say paved or unpaved roadway. That will take the word curb out, because curb is technical. I have no problem removing temporary sign portion as far as getting a permit. You know, because this has been out there, I mean, most of the restaurants now, I mean, there's still a lot of this going on out there. And everyone's got banners up and, you know, it's messy. Our town, for quite a period, probably 6 months to a year before we got sued, was really doing really well. And then boy, once that hit, they went wild. So, Will, did you see anything else? Because that's two things I would consider doing. No necessary permit. But the only thing is, what happens when you enforce them? We just take the sign and that's it. You know, if someone has a tag sale, they put it up on the telephone pole, we pull it down. Now, I used to go out and help, and I'd bring a rake with me in order to, you know, I would actually drive the vehicle and have, you know, code enforcement, because it's.
I used the pipe pole to,
Yeah.
because some of them really nailed them to those.
Oh, yeah,
telephone
and they reach up, so you have to take a rake, pull them down, and it's really a two-man job, but, I mean, I drove, I felt like the getaway driver.
It's easier to do it at 3 o'clock in the morning,
But
trust
if
me.
it's 15 feet into a property owner's property, aren't you trespassing?
We're not going there, we're not going 15 feet, we're going, if it's 15 feet past the edge of the
Right.
road, we're considered, it may not be, that's the number, because in one place it's 11 feet, another place it might be 25 feet.
But aren't you going out to private property to remove a sign?
No, we are not.
If it's on private property, why would
John,
you
your
take it down?
mailbox is in the right of way, just so you
Pardon?
know.
If it's on private property, you wouldn't want to take it down.
Yeah.
Well, if it doesn't meet the other things, like the
Well,
size
if
of the
it
sign.
violates the size,
then you have
then you
to- then
issue a notice of violation to the person whose property it's on.
We will never go on a property, we learned our lesson, and they never should have done, don't go on private property and pull a sign.
Okay, cool.
And then, There used, well, I think this probably corrected it, but like for like contractor signs that say the guy that just asphalt your driveway and things
Yeah.
like that. I think there used to be an allowance.
That's one of the problems that we ran into.
Yeah,
That's
so-
one of the reasons, if you
yeah.
read that court case, that was Marin versus the town of Southeast, the judge, the federal judge pointed out that we had all these exemptions. Therefore, they were content-based exemptions, making our temporary sign code unconstitutional on its face.
So this here would allow 45 days. So if someone's paving my driveway, they can keep a sign up for 45 days. Now, who's going to keep track of 45 days? Hardly anyone. So it's going to be difficult, but I had mine done. I took it down after 5 days because I think that's what our code used to be. And, you know, while they're working on the building, they can have a sign. So it's 45, but it's going to be very difficult to enforce. Well, I put that, so if they don't have a tag on the back, I think that should be mandatory, the date that it was posted, and pull them. And again, if it's on private property, we don't really have as much of a concern as those that put them up in the right of way.
Well, if they're in the right of way, they're in violation from the get-go.
Right.
Yeah, I think
Just go in, you take them down.
Yep.
But the fact of the matter is, if you want to try to penalize the people that are putting them up, that becomes more difficult.
Yeah.
Well, I thought there was some wording in the old code, or at least the way it was described to me, that it was, you know, if the temporary sign was related to an event, it had to be within a certain period of that event.
Yeah.
21 days.
Yeah.
But then that's.
But this says, you know, it can be displayed for 45 days. So this relates to the permit. So if we remove the permit, should we put back in that it's, you know, if it's a sign related to an event, that it's within the period of an event?
You have to be the same for everything. That's why it's 45.
Okay, that's fine.
But I think Eric makes a good point, is, again, okay, I got a 45-day window. I take it down for a day, put it back up.
Yeah, and I was thinking like a, well, I guess you wouldn't have these in a right-of-way real estate sign, so I'm getting kind of confused. So maybe we're trying to make this too.
Well, I think when you think of real estate signs, you're going to have a problem, no matter how you look at it, because, you know, you're going to have somebody whose house is overpriced, the real estate sign's going to be up for
Right.
a year.
But if it's related to the event could be the closing, and that never, and then when it happens, it happens.
Again, that was pointed out by the court, that, you know, dealing with treating real estate signs because they're content-based.
So,
well, I would say it would be, all signs would be, if, you're saying that by having an event, that's treating it differently? Or relating
No,
it to an event?
I didn't say that. This is,
What if,
and that's one of the things that I wrestled with.
rather than,
This was something, this construct was really 99% actually. And it's very simplistic. I'm not saying that it's gonna solve the problem, but it does, I think, get us back on track.
Yeah, and this will solve the problem, regardless of whether we have permits or not over the days, of signs in the right of way, which I think is the number one.
That's the thing that
Thing we
hurts
wanna
us the
clean up.
most.
Okay, John?
what about the legitimacy of when a sign is erected, it has to have the date of erection put on its back or something?
You could probably do that.
You know, to
And if
denote.
it's not there, it gets pulled.
When if it doesn't, yeah, well, yeah. But if,
The part about posting on the sign, the person who had put it up, and the date would be very helpful. But again, if it's on private property, well,
because an
we can't
event
go on the
sign that
property and look.
says it's Taco Fest on December 13th, and then if the sign's up in March, I mean, we know we can pull
Well, I guess it doesn't matter.
Or maybe it's next year's sign.
I think we're
But
overthinking
again, if
this.
it's on private property, then we send that person whose private property is, you have a sign that's in violation.
Right.
And if they don't take it down, then you issue them a summons.
Yeah, I think we're, like, if there's a taco sign in the right of way, it's in
It goes
violation in
immediately.
its own right, doesn't matter by the date, yeah.
But, you know, as far as, like, I know other jurisdictions in the county use, like, for the political season, they'll use 30 days prior and then 5 or 10 days after.
We always
depending
had
on
21 days prior.
Yeah, so.
And we can't do it because we were picked off. They've never been picked off or challenged. So we know the law. At least the law told us what the law is when I was with the county. other counties did some kind of a law or something, and then we went to do it, our law department would say, you can't do that. Well, Westchester does, well, we don't. And here's what the code is.
Gotcha, okay. Fair
It's
enough.
difficult, it's not the best, but we gotta have something because it's out of hand.
So I would definitely second the motion to remove the permits. And even just thinking about, I just thought about like the high school graduation, all the kids put out their signs.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah,
ridiculous.
some are still
to have to go through that.
And they're on private property, so, you know,
Yeah. And if it's, so no permits, and if,
They're but they're very proud of that, and they should be, so.
what happened?
You know, for those students that are still displaying their signs from June, so,
okay.
you know.
And C2, we're gonna
Are we
take out
talking
the
the
word curb.
graduation sign?
Yeah.
C2, we're taking out the word curb. Will, is there anything else that you think, I mean, look, we put it through, and it's like any law we make, it's
gonna be
living
subject
to-
to somebody's interpretation, a judge that is, but I think this generally provides the
Framework.
nondescript nature that we need in order to make this pass constitutional muster. I went through probably 50 sign codes from 50 different towns in this state, and I couldn't find one that I felt comfortable with. So,
And again, they've never been challenged. We were, and we have a nice piece of paper. I couldn't believe, even, George Washington slipped here. I mean.
yeah, because they were historic signs were considered, because, we exempted them. The judge said that was a content-based restriction, or a content-based regulation, therefore unconstitutional on its face.
Okay, so we have C, the temporary signs, we're gonna remove that part of it and change the word curb. And I say we put it forward to the next meeting, pass it, and start enforcing what
We have a public hearing scheduled for the 9th.
Yeah, okay, is that the date? Yeah, okay.
What about the expiration date thing?
About putting a date on the thing as to when it goes.
You're saying we're better off just having it 45 days and not tying it to an event?
Because some things aren't event related.
And then that would be uneven or not fair,
That would,
correct?
That would be in
In-
unequal application of the law based upon content.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens to the real estate sign up more than 45 days?
I think certain things you have to roll your eyes at.
Or, code enforcement has to note when they first notice the sign.
Well, that's
and
true
keep
too.
track of things.
I mean,
So,
And again, if it's on private
I've seen that
property,
movie for that.
I really don't have a problem with it. Time-wise.
yeah, same, so.
So,
I mean, it's kind of interesting. I know that, the town of Bedford has a ordinance as part of their zoning code, regulating signs. It says that if you are a realtor and you want to put up a for sale sign, you can't put the name
your
of
company?
because it's advertising. And I don't know whether they've ever been challenged, but every real estate broker in Bedford says, every sign says for sale by broker, and it has a telephone number. It doesn't say Houlihan Lawrence.
They need the
doesn't say-
right attorney, I suppose.
What's that?
They need to find the right attorney for that.
So, does anyone think that we should reduce that to 40 or 30 days?
I think 45 days is a fairly long thing, but
So you'll find that, I think 45 days is a decent amount of time, especially, I mean, if you're gonna apply it to the different, okay, who's gonna be interested in a temporary sign? A political candidate. So they know that 45 days in advance of the election, they can put it up and they have to take it down right afterwards.
Okay.
If they do. If they don't, then the signs are gonna be on private property, and theoretically, you'd say, excuse me, I see you're a Trump supporter, I think it's time to take your sign down. But, or something of that nature. I mean, you'd have to send, the individual owner of property that says you're in violation of the town's temporary sign code, please remove the sign
Now,
And
and-
theoretically, if they could take it down and put it up for another 45 days.
Right, but, and also the standard notice of violation from this town is giving them 30 days to abate the problem.
Well, that's
So
true.
do they get 75 days out of it then?
Yeah, I think that's a
Well,
good analysis.
you're being
Mr.
kind.
O'Connor.
So maybe shortening it to 30 days, well, so.
I mean, Commissioner, what do you think?
I think there should be no signs allowed. No boards.
Well, we're working on that.
Yeah, we already got the notice from an attorney already, so.
So I'd make a motion to reduce it to 30 days.
What page on?
Page 9,
9?
C6.
I'll second it.
It's a work session, so you don't have to
Well,
have motions and.
well, we'll do it.
I'm just making notes.
So what
Yeah,
number?
that's what- yeah.
Ashley's got the.
What number is it? Page 9, what number?
Page 9,
Okay, 30 days.
C6.
C6, C2, the curb, remove curb.
Okay, so we got 3 changes. I'll forward them to Ashley tomorrow and have it ready for the public hearing.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah,
Next
I'm
item,
okay with that.
discussion proposed changes to accessory apartment law. Eric, you're the expert on this. Did you have any, and Will?
Yeah.
I have had nothing to do with the drafting of this.
Yeah, I think this is,
It's done
yeah,
through Ashley with the planning board.
yeah, I listened to the planning board meetings. I didn't think their changes were that drastic. I didn't see anything wrong with it. Fine with it, the way it was.
Okay, so we have the public hearing coming up for that on the same next meeting.
And I don't think this was in here, and I do think we should look at, how we handle when somebody has an accessory apartment and they apply for the apartment rental registration, what our process is in terms of when we collect the money, when we do the inspection, and what that looks like. But I don't think that is this, but I do think it's something we should talk about soon.
Okay, well, put together your comment and we'll put it on the agenda.
Okay, perfect.
Does this at all approach what Senator Harkam was, dwelling units that, the
Oh.
legislation that he had?
That was not a good bill. Did that get off the
No.
ground?
No, I
That
don't think
basically
so.
took away the local authority to regulate
Right.
accessory apartments.
They were basically trying to take over running it,
Theoretically.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. That didn't fly though.
No, I know, but I think they were still looking for comments, so I think by us doing this, we're enacting something for them to use as a template.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'd be happy if they use this compared to what they've proposed.
Yeah,
Big
well,
time.
I think that they recognized it was not a finished product when they sent. But that was what I saw in later correspondence I have, and I think I sent it to everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Item number 3 is a draft resolution supporting a crosswalk at Route 312 and Brewster Hill Road. Someone had contacted legislator Yankee about putting in, the signal is there to push a button to change the light for a person to walk across the street as a crosswalk. However, it's never been, I don't know if it's even turned on. At any rate, it's gonna require that a sidewalk be put in and a landing on the other side of the road by the delicatessen that's there.
You said sidewalk, you mean crosswalk.
Crosswalk.
Well, no, you had to put a sidewalk.
Well, you said a landing, and the landing
The
is,
landing, no, the sidewalk is on the side of the school, and the landing is on the side of the deli. And then there'll be a crosswalk between the two, a painted crosswalk. So they push the button, it's already there, it's been there for years. You push the button, it allows you to walk across. Now, I'm shocked, I mean, I went to school a long time ago, but I'm telling you now, they did not want anyone from the school, especially the students, going across to the deli.
did that ever stop you?
Yeah. I'm
Never
still a
stopped
little,
me.
you know, but you didn't go to Brewster.
I did, up to 8th grade.
Well, okay.
And I was in that building in 8th grade.
Geez, I don't remember seeing you.
Probably not as much
I
traffic
think when I was in
back
8th
then.
grade, you were in Vietnam.
You guys are so mean to me.
Probably,
Okay.
probably not a lot of traffic back then.
So any rate, the school has sent a letter unsigned, but it came by email, so we have the email to prove that they do recommend this happening. So the state, the DOT requested that we have to make the application for this to do a study, do a study on putting that in,
A feasibility study.
and the school has agreed, and we will.
And the crosswalk signaling is already there.
It's already there.
Oh, but they put that in probably 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's been there, but never used. So this will allow us to do that, so.
Do you know, has anybody checked to see if you push the button if the light changes?
No, but I might stop there when they try it. But I won't go across the street because I'll probably get ticked off by former teachers. Okay, so we'll put that on the next agenda for approval. Next item, number 4, draft resolution, Putnam County sales tax, the growth Putnam proposal.
Do we have to, aren't we doing this as a resolution, or do we have to
No,
have a
no,
public
right.
hearing?
We're discussing the draft resolution.
We're bringing it forward to discuss. This does not require public hearing. The first two require public hearing, not these two.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so, I received an email from, one of the town board members from Phillipstown. He contacted all the supervisors and all the mayors of the 6 towns, 3 villages, about sharing sales tax with Putnam County. Now, when I was a Putnam County legislator, I put forward 3 proposals of sales tax sharing. The first time, I got 3 votes. Second time, I got 4 votes. And believe it or not, the third time, I got 7 votes. I beat the veto message, but guess what? It died. Somehow, someone must have called somebody, and nobody wanted to bring it back to the table. But I did, but anyway, we lost. So I think the chance of this happening will be worse than 0 to 0, but I'm putting it forward because it's been requested. All the towns are evidently going to be signing on for it, and the villages. And I would recommend we try, and all we can do is fail again.
So we would share in the annual growth, the incremental growth, 50/50.
Oh, believe me, yeah,
And
but
is it 50% of the total that gets dispersed amongst the towns, or is it where it's collected?
no, it can never be where it's collected.
Okay,
It's divided by population, I think that's
Yeah.
it.
okay.
There's,
Oh.
believe me, if this gets off the ground, it will go through many changes, so we get as little as possible. This is just something to put the shot across the bow, so to speak, see if it gets any traction, and my prediction is it will go nowhere.
So the whereas on page 2 that refers to sales tax revenues are expected to continue to grow in the future as the local economy recovers, online sales tax revenues continue, and new sales tax revenue result from the sale of cannabis-related products. So far, since we are the first town in the Hudson Valley to opt out, I don't see sales of that happening
But it
in
may happen.
Southeast, but I'm saying is throughout the county, I don't think it's gonna go that route, but
No.
are we saying that that's online sales is gonna contribute to that?
Well, online sales would contribute, but not cannabis part.
Okay, so.
Well, maybe
do we need
cannabis
that in
will,
there?
and maybe there's other towns in the county that will
But I think we
approve
can-
cannabis.
We could always opt in too, if we, at some point.
Right, but
Yeah.
is there a reason why we need to just put that in there?
Well, this is generic, it's, everyone's pretty much gonna sign on to the same thing, but believe me, if it passes, it'll never be as it's written here. There'll be many changes. This is
Well,
generically.
no, our resolution would be,
Pardon?
our resolution would be as it's written here.
Yeah, but,
Whatever resolution the county comes up with, I couldn't tell you what that is.
no, not the county, the other towns. I mean,
Yeah, fine.
all the towns have pretty much,
So this is the template they're using?
this is the template being used to get it on the table.
Okay, so I'm just saying, I didn't think we needed to have that little
Okay.
part of a sentence in there.
So where is it at now exactly? What warehouse clause?
Next, second page.
Okay.
Second page, first item, whereas, and it's the last line, and new sales tax revenue for the sales of cannabis-related products.
And
We could easily say the sales of new cars.
Oh, Yeah, good luck on that one. Okay,
Yeah, John, you're right. You could just delete that. I don't think it's.
so we're gonna end tax,
Yeah.
online sales tax revenues.
I mean, this isn't limiting it to that. It's just saying.
Yeah, I know it, I just,
Yeah.
that particular call out, I just didn't think was necessary.
And so if you want to remove, we'll remove it. Tell us how you want it exactly.
Just, I mean, we could end it in new sales tax revenues.
And any new sales.
Yeah, that's fine, any new sales tax revenue.
Any new sales tax revenues, period, out. I'll rewrite it and put it forward for the next meeting. Good?
Yeah, looks good to
Okay.
me.
Yep.
Okay, I make a motion now to go into the regular portion of the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, waive the reading of the correspondence. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 6, approve of the voucher list, $884,667.90. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Waiving of the budget transfer. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 8, setting of meeting dates and public hearings. All meetings be held at 1360 Route 22, Brewster, New York, at 7 p.m. unless otherwise noted. Thursday, September 9, 2021, and Thursday, September 23, 2021. And just for the record, on September 9th, we've already posted on the public hearing notices in the paper that there'll be one for the changes to the sign law and the accessory apartment law. So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, second.
Just, I won't be here on the 9th, just to.
Oh, come on, we need your vote. Okay, not a problem. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, item number 9, let me just get to where I am, okay. It's a resolution to reappoint the Board of Assessment Review. Now therefore be resolved that the Town Board of Town of Southeast hereby appoints John Piazza to an additional term on the Town of Southeast Board of Assessment Review, such term to commence October 1, 2021, and expire September 30, 2026, and be further resolved that this appointment shall take effect upon the taking and filing of the appropriate oath of office with the Town Clerk of the Town of Southeast. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 10, resolution purchase highway equipment. Now therefore be resolved that the town highway superintendent is authorized to expend an amount not to exceed $25,000 for the purchase of a street sweeper. And be further resolved that the Southeast Superintendent of Highways requires any additional funds above the additional allotted, above the amount allotted. He will need further authorization by the town board to expend such expenditure. Resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. So move for discussion.
Second.
Okay, brief discussion. Mike, I really have to compliment you on your purchasing of equipment and the assets of your department. I'm amazed at how much you save us. We buy equipment and sometimes sell it for more than we buy it for 5 years after the fact. So you've been, since you mentioned before you were there for 25 years, I think in the past probably 10 years you've been doing this, and we are very appreciative of what you do. So when you ask us for money, you're always going to give us back money most times, and don't spend what you ask for, and we appreciate it.
Well, everything I request is there's nothing that's not needed. Is everything that we use, everything I can purchase is all equipment to make our, that we can do the work more efficiently and get more work done.
And in this case here, it happens to be a sweeper. We're going to gain 3 years in age, but the product is coming from an area where there's like no rust and things of that nature, so it's a big deal. And we're going to be selling the old sweeper, not knowing until it goes on Auctions International what we get, so he will be well under the $25,000.
Yeah, just a little backstory.
Mike, why don't you just come up so, just in case?
Because we don't use sand as much, we're pretty much going to straight salt. The street sweeper is not used as much. It's not as a viable piece of equipment. We still need one, but a new one to replace our old one is $230,000. So for a piece of equipment that you use for 2 months out of the year, it's hard to justify spending that much money for something that we only use for a couple months. So I've been actively searching for the last 2 years to try to find something that's a reasonable, amount of money, that's in relatively good condition. I've already spoken to the highway superintendent where this sweeper's coming from. He's got all the service records. He's you know, explained to me that, you know, all the service has been done on it, so it's a, you know, should be a nice piece of equipment to get us through these, you know, next 8 or 10 years that we can, you know, use this thing without having to spend $230,000.
Do we use that, or do we allow the village to use our sweeper?
We sweep the village for them.
Do they
We-
use salt?
Yeah, they use straight salt too, yeah. So it's, you know, we don't, we're not using sand is, it's a tremendous benefit for us as far as cleaning catch basins, the east of Hudson stuff, you know, and we've gotten to the point now where our new equipment regulates the amount of salt that we use, so we're actually cutting down on the amount of salt that we use because we have new computers in the trucks and so on. So it's been a learning process when we went to straight salt, but it's actually really starting to benefit us in the long run.
Great,
Excellent.
thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, number 11, supervisor's report. I'm in the middle of my budget. Actually, I'm always at the end of the budget season for myself. I'll turn in my report into Ron on Tuesday. Actually, Mike and I are gonna meet tomorrow morning at 5:30 to finish up on his. And and I have to do town clerk tomorrow as well. And then I'll be done my part, then it goes to Ron, and we'll have it to you. This year, because we had a good budget the year before, we're in fairly good shape. People stay in line with their requests for money expenditures. We research almost everything we buy. I mean, I hate to say it, we buy stuff for $25. I try to find it even cheaper, and we do, I think, a really good job. I think people think we're a little bit too cheap sometimes, but if you can say the same product, the same brand name, and get it a little bit cheaper elsewhere, we do everything we can to save money. I do want to report that the federal, I'll call it the COVID relief, that the town received a check for approximately $860,000. We're supposed to get about $1.6 million. We're putting it into a separate account at this point in time. We're trying to find out exactly how that money is to be spent. There are a criteria of how it's to be spent. So Ron and I are researching out, find out what this money can be spent on. Can't be done frivolously, can't be used for certain things, but we're not exactly sure, so we're finding out what it could be. And then once we know what we have, 1.6 eventually, I'm not sure when the second payment comes, we will come to the board with how we may or may not expend the funds depending on how the board decides. As far as the rest of the budget, revenues year were up. I mean, last year with COVID, we kept it like this year. This year the revenues are up. In the past, the courts were a problem. One year we only received half the revenues, but the budget stayed like that. Again, I overestimate expenses and I underestimate revenues for that reason, and it seems to work. So going back to the courts, they're above the budget projections for this year. So our budget for this year is pretty good, and I'm not going to make a prediction of what rate we may or may not go up. It's 2% that we're allowed, and I will do what we can to shave the best we can. Next year, we'll be paying the salary. There'll be a salary increase. That was, the CSEA, Teamsters, they all agreed upon the same interest. It was nothing for this year, then it went 2%, whatever. And by the end of the 4-year term, it would go up about 7.5%. And things are good. I can't complain. I do appreciate all the various boards and the department heads that work with us on a daily basis. They keep the budget in line, and everything seems to be going good. So we have a good budget, working good. Okay. Anyone from the public wish to speak? Town board members.
Yeah, can I ask Mike? Sure. Mike, do you have any roads that we didn't, that you're planning to work on for the rest of the year, or plow, or paving, or
Well, we just picked up our new paver today, which was unfortunate that it came so late in the year, but the next roads, we're gonna be replacing the drainage and paving the entire area of Drewville Heights.
Okay.
All those roads up there, so, you know, that's an area that hasn't been touched in probably 30 years. So we're gonna get in there this year, fix the drainage. We're gonna actually start next week, and then we'll be paving that, and then at that point in time, I'm gonna have to check my chips and my extreme winter recovery money, and if there's anything left, I'll try to get out to do, you know, any road I can find that I can get paved this year. We'll definitely try to get it done. But I'm trying to, you know, I really want to try to get the Drewville Heights done. We've done quite a bit this year, and we're gonna start on Brewster Heights. That's gonna be a, you know.
You're starting on that this year or next year?
We're gonna try to start in October. Right now, it's really a problem getting plastic pipe, trying to get pipe. Because of the COVID shutdown, they said that they get the resin from the refineries down in Texas and Louisiana. When they had the ice problem down in Texas and they were shut down, there was a shortage of resin. You know, it just goes on and on and on. They can't get truck drivers. I've heard every excuse in the book, but I can't. I ordered plastic pipe 6 weeks ago, and I got a partial order, which usually when I order the pipe, it's, you know, it comes to me within a week and I get the full order, and they can't even tell me when they're gonna fill the rest of the partial order that I got. So right now, trying to get material is really gonna be an issue. Catch basins, tires for my trucks, cutting edges for the snow plows. It's really an issue right now trying to find
You have the money,
products.
we just can't, there's just no supply.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I have you know, I've worked with Tom Fenton on the plan, you know, to start up there in Brewster Heights, and it's just, I'm hoping that I'm gonna be able to get my pipe delivery before October, because I wanna try to start up there on that first phase of Brewster Heights in October, but if I don't have the material, you know, I mean, I can't get started. It's an unfortunate situation right now.
And it's not just here. I went to my girlfriend, she wanted to get a new car, a new lease or something like that, and she ended up keeping her current one because they had like no inventory. All these dealers are basically probably down 50% in inventory. So it's very, very difficult times, lots of excuses.
Right now, if you order a new plow truck, a municipal truck, you're probably not gonna get the chassis for anywhere from a year and a half to 2 years. So if you wanna order, if you know, towns are approving new trucks in January, the highway superintendent will call and order it in January, and he may not see it until 2024. It's you know, it's really a tough situation right now for everybody, so.
Thanks.
As a matter of fact, I
All
went
right.
last night to Carvel, probably the first time in a year, and went in, and there's a sign on the door that they, because of the short supply of materials, they don't have this, and this, and it's crazy out there.
So they had no plastic for the Carvel ice cream?
No,
They have an ice cream shortage. I read that in the paper.
Yeah.
They have no cakes or anything. They're only doing like soft serve.
Yeah, it's really difficult road, the whole, now, restaurants are short supply. It's just absolutely amazing that all the things that are short, and we want to paint the lines up at the park there for parking, and he wants to do the lines on the roads. He can't get white paint, he can't get yellow paint. Now that's nuts.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. We shall overcome. Town board comment?
Happy Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day.
Oh, there's I don't know. There's an event on Saturday at the Electrozone Field at 9 o'clock for in memorial of the 20-year anniversary of 9/11, and there's another event at the Elks Lodge that evening at 6 p.m.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. That was it.
And tonight, I'd like to close the meeting as we entered. Over in Kabul today, approximately a dozen military personnel were killed. I don't know any civilians, but most likely there were. I haven't heard the full news report. And as a veteran, and even non-veterans, it's sad to see. So I'll make a motion before we close, just to go to a moment of silence before closing the meeting.
Second.
Second. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion for closure.
Motion to close the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming. Mike?